Chapter 51. What's the matter? Yang Dingtian was shocked and asked hurriedly. At this time, Shimen Ningning saw Yang Dingtian covered in blood and immediately whispered, "How did you get hurt like this?" Then, she touched Yang Dingtian's wound with trembling hands. "I'm fine, it's just some superficial wounds," Yang Dingtian said. "Tell me, what happened in Cloud Sky City?" "It's about Yan Yan," Shimen Ningning said. Yang Dingtian was shocked. What happened to Yan Yan? Did that old bastard Yang Yan use some kind of trick? "No, Yan Yan is fine," Shimen Ningning said. "Someone from the Sea of Hades came to see Yan Yan." Yang Dingtian was slightly shocked. It wasn't important for someone from the Sea of Hades to see Yan Yan. It wasn't necessary for Ningning to ride the floating ray over. Ningning continued, "Also, I gave you pills and deep-sea Xian clothes this morning, but I forgot the most important thing. I forgot to give you a good weapon and asked you to use a steel sword to kill the demon beasts. When I remembered, I was scared out of my wits, so I quickly rode Yao Yao to find you. If he had a good weapon, killing the two demon beasts wouldn't be so difficult." Yang Dingtian didn't have much Xian qi, so whether it was the fiery demon wolf or the wind shadow demon snake, they couldn't even pierce through his skin. "I'm fine," Yang Dingtian said with a smile. "Fortunately, you're fine. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to forgive myself for the rest of my life," Shimen Ningning said. Then, she helped Yang Dingtian onto the floating ray. "I'm fine. I'm not that weak." Yang Dingtian smiled and jumped onto the floating ray. "Yao Yao, you're tired again." Yang Dingtian reached out and touched Floating Ray's neck. Floating Ray whined and rubbed its neck against Yang Dingtian's palm. Ningning jumped onto the Floating Ray's back and sat behind Yang Dingtian. "By the way, have you hunted a demon core?" Shimen Ningning asked. Only then did she remember this important matter. "Got it." Yang Dingtian said, "I killed a fiery demon wolf and a wind snake. I got fire-type and wind-type demon cores." "Ah!" Shimen Ningning exclaimed and said in disbelief, "How did you do it? You only have an ordinary steel sword. Not only did you kill the fiery demon wolf, but you also killed the wind shadow demon snake. The wind snake is very powerful. Even 5-star novice martial artists would not be able to kill it. Instead, they would be killed by it. Yeah, that beast is very powerful." Yang Dingtian then told Ningning the process of killing the wind snake. Shimen Ningning's face turned pale. She said, "You're really amazing. You know how to use the enchanted orchid to kill the wind snake." Hearing her praise, Yang Dingtian suddenly felt embarrassed. He quickly changed the topic and asked, "By the way, why did the people from the Sea of Hades come to see Yan Yan?" "It's a long story. Let's go back and heal first." "I'll tell you later," Ningning said. She then patted Floating Ray's back and said, "Yao Yao, let's go back." Floating Ray screeched and spread its wings, flying in the direction of Cloud Sky City. Even though it was carrying two people, it was still fast, steady, and light. In the small building, Yang Dingtian was lying in a wooden barrel of medicinal soup. His upper body was above the water, and his wounds were so deep that his bones could be seen. "Why didn't you take the elixir?" Shimen Ningning scolded in a low voice. She then poured the milky white medicinal liquid on her hand and gently rubbed Yang Dingtian's wounds. Yang Dingtian wasn't a tough guy. He was in so much pain that his body twitched. He grinned and said, "At first, I couldn't bear to take it. Later, I didn't have time to take it. I told you not to give me elixirs that are too good. How can you be like this?" Shimen Ningning whispered. Even though she was scolding him, her voice was still soft. Wherever her small hand touched, the wounds would heat up. The medicinal liquid seeped into the wounds. The bloody wounds were originally open, but after the medicine, they automatically closed up, leaving only deep red marks. It was really a mysterious elixir. "By the way, I have a gift for you." Yang Dingtian thought of the enchanted orchid and immediately stood up from the barrel. Ah, don't stand up. Shiman Ningning whispered, your pants have been melted by the medicinal liquid. Yang Dingtian quickly sat back down. He used too much force, and the medicinal liquid directly splashed on the corner of Shiman Ningning's mouth. I'm sorry. Yang Dingtian instinctively reached out to wipe the medicinal liquid from the corner of Ningning's mouth. Shiman Ningning's face suddenly turned red. She whispered, no, it's nothing. Then she went to the outer room, took clothes and a towel, and put it on Yang Dingtian's hand. Then she turned around and said, okay, you can come out now. Yang Dingtian came out of the barrel with a red face and wiped his body with a towel. Shiman Ningning was standing not far away. Suddenly, the atmosphere in the room was very awkward. Yang Dingtian put on his clothes. However, his wounds had just been smeared with medicine, so his shirt had to be open. Yang Dingtian took out his package, took out the enchanted orchid, and said, I picked it from the red wilderness today. Here you are. Enchanted orchid. Shiman Ningning's beautiful eyes lit up, and she was pleasantly surprised. She said, this flower is very rare. You actually picked it. It's just a flower. Compared to what you gave me, it's completely insignificant, Yang Dingtian said. Hearing Yang Dingtian's words, Shiman Ningning's surprised expression suddenly froze. She took the enchanted orchid and said softly. Yang Dingtian could see that she was unhappy. Did I say something wrong? Yang Dingtian asked. Shiman Ningning opened her small mouth and said, this is very dangerous. Don't do this in the future. Also, I don't want you to feel that you owe me anything, okay? Yang Dingtian was slightly stunned, and then nodded. Then, the two of them sat in awkward silence again. He really wanted to ask Ningning why she was so good to him. There was no reason, but after thinking about it, he still didn't ask. Sister Ningning, you asked me to return to Cloud Sky City in such a hurry. You said that someone from the Netherworld Sea came to see Yen Yen. What's wrong with that? Yang Dingtian asked. Yen Yen is free to see whoever she wants. Yen Yen meeting the person from the Netherworld Sea is of course fine, but Yen Yen wants to go with that person. She wants to go with him to the Netherworld Sea. Ningning said, I can't persuade her at all, so I can only ask you to come back and persuade her. What? Yang Dingtian was anxious and said, why does she want to go with that person to the Netherworld Sea? Who is that person? Why does she want to go with him to the Netherworld Sea? His name is Songyu, a disciple of the Netherworld Sea. Yen Yen wants to go with him to the Netherworld Sea to treat her Xian meridians. Shiman Ningning said, this matter is very complicated. Listen to me slowly. The Netherworld Sea was one of the most mysterious places in the world. It was both good and evil. In the eyes of the world, there was only one impression, and that was that the Netherworld Sea was almost omnipotent. Some people might dare to offend people from the 3 sects and 9 clans, but they definitely wouldn't dare to offend people from the Netherworld Sea. Because it was omnipotent, even the dead could be brought back to life. It could also make an incomparably strong person die without leaving a trace. 5 years ago, Yen Yen had a huge accident. Since then, her Xian meridians had been destroyed. All these years, her cultivation had been constantly regressing. After 2 to 3 years, she didn't have any Xian qi and was as weak as an ordinary person. If there was any power in the world that could heal Yin Yan's damaged Xian meridians, it could only be the Netherworld Sea. So, in the world, there might be people who dared to offend people from the 3 sects and 9 clans, but absolutely no one dared to offend the Netherworld Sea. Since the Netherworld Sea was so powerful and miraculous, then everyone in the world would have rushed over like a flock of ducks. Those who should have died could be revived. However, no one in the world knew where the Netherworld Sea was. Moreover, the Netherworld Sea was absolutely cold and heartless. Unless it was given a huge benefit, it would definitely not lend a helping hand. Therefore, the Netherworld sees Song Yu taking the initiative to appear in Cloud Sky City was really a puzzling matter. Yang Dingtian was silent for a moment, then said, if the Netherworld Sea can heal Yan Yan's injuries, then that would be for the best. Yan Yan following Song Yu to the Netherworld Sea isn't a big deal. This is a good thing. Little Tian, there's a very famous saying. That is, if you owe the Netherworld Sea a debt, you won't be able to repay it even in 10 lifetimes. Shima Ningning said, I don't know why Song Yu would take the initiative to come to Cloud Sky City to see Yan Yan, but I know that if the Netherworld Sea wants to heal Yan Yan, they would have to pay a huge price. Yang Dingtian thought for a moment, then said, if they can heal Yan Yan, then even if they have to pay a huge price, it will be worth it. Ningning shook her head and said, you don't understand. The price that the Netherworld Sea offers is something that almost no one in the world can afford. Moreover, I am an alchemist myself. I am very clear about Yan Yan's Xian veins. I really can't find any hope of healing her. I don't believe that the Netherworld Sea can heal Yan Yan. Is that Song Yu still in Cloud Sky City? Where does he live? Yang Dingtian asked. He lives in the Heavenly Guest Pavilion, Ningning said. Big sister Ningning, give me a set of clothes. I will go see him now. I will ask him if he can really heal Yan Yan. If he can, what is the price? Yang Dingtian asked. Ningning walked to the cabinet and took out Yang Dingtian's robe, which was sewn by him. Big sister Ningning. At this moment, a delicate voice came from outside. Instantly, Yang Dingtian and Ningning's expressions changed because this was Yan Yan's voice. Shima Ningning's little face instantly turned pale. She whispered anxiously, little Tian, quickly hide. Don't let Yan Yan see you here. Moreover, you look like this. Yang Dingtian looked down. He was wearing loose pajamas that were still open. At this moment, he was alone with Shima Ningning in a room. If someone saw him like this, it would be difficult not to misunderstand. If he was caught, he would not be able to clear his name even if he jumped into the Yellow River. Outside, Shima Yan Yan's footsteps were getting closer and closer. Shima Ningning anxiously looked around for a place to hide. Her room was too simple, so she couldn't even find a place to hide. Right, here. Ningning opened a cabinet door and then pulled Yang Dingtian to hide inside. Before she could close the cabinet door, the beautiful Yan Yan walked in. Big sister, what are you doing? I kept calling you but you didn't respond. Yan Yan looked at Shima Ningning in confusion. Chapter 52. In a hurry, Ningning took 2 clothes from the cabinet and closed the door. I'm going to take a bath. Yang Dingtian was hiding in the cabinet, surrounded by Shima Ningning's clothes. It's so late. Why are you here? Ningning asked softly. It's not late. I often can't sleep in the latter half of the night, so I come to find you. Yan Yan said softly, I really miss those days. Sister Ningning, do you still remember that we secretly played? Ningning blushed and said anxiously, don't say it, don't say it. She didn't know what they secretly played with that made Shima Ningning react so strongly. Yan Yan said softly, you only know how to be shy now. It's too late to pretend to be reserved. Okay, don't say it, don't say it. Ningning was ashamed because there was another person in the room. She was so virtuous and dignified. If this kind of thing was heard by a man, it was really too, okay, what's the matter? I'm going to take a bath, Ningning said. Okay, let's go together. Yan Yan rushed over. Ningning quickly dodged and said, don't be like this. You're already married. Why are you still so crazy? Hearing the word married, Yan Yan's delicate body suddenly stopped playing. She sat down on the bed and sighed softly. Ningning went forward and sat next to Yan Yan. It's inevitable for husband and wife to quarrel, but how can you say such heartless words? Besides, Yang Dingtian just wants. Sister, don't mention his name in front of me, Yan Yan suddenly said, I really don't want to hear those 3 words at all, okay? Yan Yan. Ningning frowned and said unhappily, he's your husband. Sister Ningning, I came to your valley for joy and freedom, so please don't talk about him anymore, okay? Yan Yan said. Hearing Yan Yan's words and thinking of Yang Dingtian in the cabinet, Ningning's little face turned pale. Yan Yan said such heartless and cold words at this time. How much damage did Yang Dingtian suffer? Ningning let out a long sigh and said, Yan Yan, do you really think you've given a lot and sacrificed a lot? Do you feel that Yang Dingtian has wronged you? Before Yan Yan answered, Ningning said, you're wrong. What a man needs the most is his wife's understanding and support, not to give and sacrifice for him. Every time you give, every time you make a sacrifice, it seems very noble, but in fact, every time you do it, you trample on him. It's like you're constantly reminding him that he's useless. Yan Yan, your selflessness is the same as Dongfang Bingling's selfishness. It will bring great harm to him, or even greater harm, Ningning said. Yang Dingtian can be angry and hate the harm caused by Dongfang Bingling's selfishness. But the harm caused by your selflessness, he can only deal with it gently and swallow the pain. Sister Ningning, you're his confidant. He said something similar before, Yan Yan said. Yan Yan, he's your husband. That can't be changed. Do you still want to be happy in this life? If you do, then love him, support him, and understand him, Ningning said. The most important thing is that I can see that he's a man worthy of your love. What do you mean by happiness? I don't expect to be happy after marrying him. It's just my life. I accept it, Yan Yan said softly. When that happened 5 years ago, I already accepted it. Ningning suddenly became silent. She was afraid that if Yan Yan continued, it would hurt Yang Dingtian even more. Sister, this is our last night together. Do you still want to talk about these unhappy things? Yan Yan said. Shiman Ningning was shocked. What do you mean? You've decided to go to the Netherworld Sea? Yes, I've decided. I'll leave tomorrow, Yan Yan said. He's already unreliable. I can only rely on myself to support Cloud Sky City's mission. In the Netherworld Sea, they might be able to restore my broken Xian veins and let me return to my talent from 5 years ago. Yang Dingtian said something right. People can only rely on themselves. No one else can be relied on. Shiman Ningning said with a trembling voice, there are only 5 days left. You won't even give him 5 days? He's already hunted 2 demon cores today and almost lost half his life. But you won't even give him a chance to prove himself? Hunting 5 types of demon cores and then breaking through. This is just his fantasy. Sister Ningning, you're more knowledgeable than me. Have you heard of this method of breaking through? Yan Yan asked. Ningning was stunned and then gently shook her head. She really hadn't heard of it. I only know that he's still an enlightener. He doesn't have any Xian Qi in his body. Yan Yan said, he's already completely entered his own world. I can't call him back. I've tried my best. Also, even if he can break through by hunting all 5 types of demon cores, does Sister Ningning think that he can hunt an ice-type demon core with his strength as an enlightener? Can he hunt an electric-type demon core? Ningning was speechless again. Because it was completely impossible. Just the fire and wind types alone had already injured Yang Dingtian. Even if he fails, you should wait 5 days before leaving. Even if he's a fantasy, you should let him wake up before leaving, Shiman Ningning said. But the people from the Sea of Hades are leaving tomorrow. Yan Yan said, no one in the world knows where the Sea of Hades is. If you miss it, you won't have another chance. Then you'd rather believe in the illusory Sea of Hades than your husband? Ningning asked. I've already given him many chances, Yan Yan said. Besides, who in the world doesn't believe in the Sea of Hades? At least compared to Yang Dingtian. Indeed, no one would doubt the ability of the Sea of Hades. In the field of mystery, the Sea of Hades was indeed unique. It was rumored that they even had the ability to bring the dead back to life. Ningning took a deep breath and said, have you decided? Yes. Yan Yan said, you and mother are the two people I miss the most. I'll spend the first half of the night with you and the second half with mother. Tomorrow, I'll go to the Sea of Hades. Then you can go. Ningning stood up and said calmly, if you choose to leave Cloud Sky City, then you don't have a sister like me. If you don't even want your husband, then I don't have a sister like you. Sister Ning. Yan Yan said in disbelief, we're like sisters. You don't want me as your sister because of him? Yes, because I believe in him. I admire him, Ningning said. From the first disagreement between you two, I've been on his side. I think he's right. Yan Yan was stunned. She couldn't help but cry. She looked at Ningning for a long time and said, okay, then I'll leave him in your care. Sister, take care. Then, Yan Yan ran out crying. You won't even see Yang Dingtian for the last time. Shimin Ningning said loudly. It's better not to see him. Yan Yan stopped and continued running out. Sister Ningning, say sorry to her for me. After Yan Yan ran out, Ningning turned around and lay on the bed, crying. Yang Dingtian walked out of the cabinet and sat down on the bed. He saw Ningning's beautiful back. Her shoulders were trembling because of crying. Yang Dingtian extended his hand and patted her tender shoulder. Ningning turned around and hugged Yang Dingtian tightly. She cried, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Yang Dingtian was stunned. He patted her back gently. He was curious why Ningning would say sorry. However, Yang Dingtian didn't say anything. He just comforted her. After crying for a while, Ningning left Yang Dingtian's embrace. She looked at him with teary eyes and said, Yan Yan did something wrong. I hope you don't blame her. Yang Dingtian shook his head and said, I said, no matter what she does, I won't blame her. Not only won't I say it, I won't blame her in my heart. Ningning suddenly sat up straight and said, Yang Dingtian, promise sister that you will stop Yan Yan from going to the Netherworld Sea. Yang Dingtian thought for a while and said, if the people from the Netherworld Sea can really restore Yan Yan's Xian veins, then it will be a good thing for her. It's not that simple. The Netherworld Sea is both good and evil. If Yan Yan goes to the Netherworld Sea, maybe she will enter hell. Shimin Ningning said, you promised foster father that you will protect Yan Yan. If she leaves and something happens, how will you protect her? Yang Dingtian asked in his heart, Master, should I stop Yan Yan? Do you know about the Netherworld Sea? Dongfang Minmi was silent for a moment and said, if you owe the Netherworld Sea something, you won't be able to pay it back even in 10 lifetimes. If you owe the Netherworld Sea a debt, no one dares to not pay it back. Even if you have to pay it back in 10 lifetimes, you will have to pay it back. I know what to do. Yang Dingtian said. Yang Dingtian didn't go find Yan Yan. Instead, he went to the Heavenly Guest Pavilion to see Song Yu from the Netherworld Sea. The Heavenly Guest Pavilion was at the top of a cliff. It was built by Cloud Heaven City to entertain the noblest guests. Climbing up the cliff and walking into the Heavenly Guest Pavilion, Yang Dingtian saw this person. This was a young man. His eyes were like distant mountains. He was as handsome as jade. His black hair was like the clouds and his temperament was like the wind. He was dressed in a green robe. His long hair wasn't tied up and was casually draped over his shoulders. He was proud and natural, confident and outstanding. Yang Dingtian. Yang Dingtian bowed. Song Yu, what business do you have for disturbing me in the middle of the night? The other party said indifferently. I heard that your place can cure my wife's Xian veins. Yang Dingtian said. Your wife? Song Yu revealed a puzzled expression. Shimin Yan Yan. Yang Dingtian said. She's your wife. But I think she's still an unmarried girl. Song Yu said. His words were very rude. Saying this in front of someone else's husband. That's none of your business. Yang Dingtian said, you haven't answered my question. Can my wife's Xian veins really be cured or not? Chapter 53. Ningning continued, this mine used to have a large amount of demon silver, but after decades of mining, it has completely dried up. Most of the gold-eating beasts have either been killed or left. Now, there are only a few weak gold-eating beasts that rely on the demon silver to survive. Then, this place was the most suitable place to hunt for gold-type demon cores. Shiman Ningning said, that abandoned mine is very deep and winding. However, there shouldn't be more than a few dozen gold-eating beasts. They are very sparsely distributed. As long as you don't go too deep, there shouldn't be too much danger. Based on what Shiman Ningning said, this was practically the perfect place for Yang Dingtian to hunt for gold-type demon cores alone. Is this abandoned mine very far? Yang Dingtian asked. Not far. It's about 400 kilometers northwest of Cloud Sky City, Shiman Ningning said. But the only problem is that this abandoned mine belongs to the Northwest Qin family. People from other forces can't enter. If we enter and are discovered, there will be a lot of trouble, especially for you. The Northwest Qin family could be said to be Cloud Sky City's mortal enemy. Both sides had never stopped fighting. After Shiman Wuya passed away, the Northwest Qin family unabashedly launched a plot to annex Cloud Sky City. At this moment, this abandoned demon silver mine was actually in the Northwest Qin family's territory. The Northwest Qin city is more than 1,500 kilometers away from us. The abandoned mine is 400 kilometers away from us. It's their territory. The Northwest Qin family's territory is actually so big? Yang Dingtian said in surprise. Of course. Their territory is more than 1,500 kilometers, Shiman Ningning said. Cloud Sky City has been in decline for too long. The Northwest Qin family has been strong for hundreds of years, so their territory is 2 to 3 times more than ours. Cloud Sky City can't continue expanding after expanding for more than 1,000 kilometers because we are already bordering the Northwest Qin family. In that case, this abandoned mine was practically the perfect place for Yang Dingtian to hunt for gold-type demon cores. However, there was another kind of danger. The Northwest Qin family was eyeing Cloud Sky City covetously. Their young master was drooling over Yan Yan. As for Yang Dingtian, they definitely hated him to the core. Is there someone guarding the mine at all times? Is it an important place of the Northwest Qin family? Yang Dingtian asked. That's not the case. That mine has been abandoned for many years, and no one cares about it. But that's the border between the two families. There will be a lot of sentries, especially secret sentries, Shiman Ningning said. Putting these matters aside, Yang Dingtian asked, Sister Ningning, the Northwest continent is a fire-type place. How can there be an ice-type demonic beast? Just now, there was an ice-type demonic beast in this abandoned mine. What's going on? I also feel very surprised, because this is completely impossible. Ningning said, the conversational bird told me that it found out that these ice-type demonic beasts only appeared about a month ago. Because more than a month ago, there was a huge earthquake in the abandoned demonic silver mine. The entire demonic silver mine cracked open and a mass of unfreezing water gushed out from the depths of the ground, forming a pond. The water is colder than ice, but it will never condense into ice. In the unfreezing water pond, there are a few ice-type demonic beasts. Does that mean that these ice-type demonic beasts are the only ones in the Northwest continent? Yang Dingtian asked. Shiman Ningning said, you can say that. Then we really have to go. No matter how dangerous it is, we have to go. Yang Dingtian asked in his heart, Master, what's the approximate temperature of the unfreezing water? According to Earth's calculations, it's about -80 degrees Celsius, Dongfang Minmi said. If you don't have a Yang-type mystic vein of the 8th rank or above, you won't be able to withstand it. However, it's really strange. How can there be unfreezing water gushing out from this place? This is clearly a fire-type continent. Dongfang Minmi's tone was not only surprised, but also a little nervous. Is the unfreezing water very rare? Yang Dingtian asked. It's extremely rare on the fire-type continent. It's almost impossible to form it, unless... Dongfang Minmi said excitedly, unless there's a need to generate a very, very high heat in the depths of the earth. Through hundreds or thousands of years, all the surrounding heat will be swallowed up. Then, all the surrounding water will become colder and colder. Because of special reasons, it can't condense into ice, so it becomes unfreezing water. Yang Dingtian's heart trembled. He suddenly thought of a possibility and asked in a trembling voice, Master, what kind of thing needs to swallow a lot of heat? Could it be? Yang Dingtian thought of the bloody black gold. If he wanted to forge a soul sword, he would need a large amount of bloody black gold, and this item was the most difficult item to find. Furthermore, forging a soul sword required a large amount of bloody black gold. There are many things that need to swallow a lot of heat to form, but there are only a few things that need to swallow a lot of heat to form unfreezing water. Dongfang Minmi said, one of them is bloody black gold. However, this possibility is still very, very small. There's also a big possibility that it's other fire-type crystals and fire-type ores. The probability of bloody black gold is still very, very low. Yang Dingtian asked in his heart, why is the probability of bloody black gold so low? Dongfang Minmi said, because there's a pond of unfreezing water, which proves that there's a very large vein of ore. There's never been a large vein of bloody black gold. The largest vein of bloody black gold that I've encountered was only 40 or so pieces. The largest vein of bloody black gold that I've heard of was only 99 pieces. Yang Dingtian calmed his excitement. Whether or not there was bloody black gold under the unfreezing pond, he had to go to this abandoned mine. Sister Ningning, do many people know about this? Yang Dingtian asked. There's an ice-type monster in the abandoned mine and unfreezing water gushed out. No, at least no one will find out in a short period of time, Ningning said. I've decided. Let's go to the abandoned mine, Yang Dingtian said. Ningning looked at Yang Dingtian for a long time, then nodded and said, I'll go with you and help you avoid the secret sentries of the Northwest Qin family. Okay. Yang Dingtian said. Then you go to sleep first. I'll prepare some things. We'll leave early tomorrow morning, Ningning said. The next morning, Ang Dingtian and Shiman Ningning rode on the floating ray and flew in the direction of the abandoned mine in the west. Although the floating ray was carrying 2 people and a lot of things, it was still light and agile. It flew quickly and steadily in the sky. Little Tian, have you heard of Qin Shaobai? Shiman Ningning suddenly asked. Yang Dingtian's heart jumped as he thought of Yang Qi, who he killed. I've heard of him, Yang Dingtian said. He's the 3rd son of the Qin family lord, Qin Huaiyu's younger brother. Hearing Yang Dingtian say Qin Huaiyu's name with hostility, Ningning couldn't help but laugh. Because it was this Qin Huaiyu who wanted to steal Yan Yan as his wife. That's right, but other than being the 3rd son of the Qin family lord, Qin Shaobai has another identity. Shiman Ningning continued, he's also the grandson of great elder Yang Yan. When Godfather was purging the Yang family's opposition, great elder Yang Yan married his daughter, Yang Shishir, to the Qin family lord as a concubine in order to protect himself. Ningning continued, originally, we didn't have any direct relationship with Qin Shaobai. But a few days ago, the Qin family lord divorced his second wife, Yang Shishir, and expelled Qin Shaobai from the Northwest Qin family. Qin Shaobai changed his name to Yang Shaobai and will soon return to Cloud Sky City. Do you know what this means? Qin Shaobai is coming to steal the position of Cloud Sky City Lord, Yang Dingtian said. Seeing that Yang Dingtian didn't look too surprised, Ningning was slightly stunned and said, that's right, Qin Shaobai is coming to steal the position of Cloud Sky City Lord. He has the support of great elder Yang Yan internally and the support of the Northwest Qin family externally, so he will be your biggest competitor for the position of Cloud Sky City Lord. What's his cultivation like? Yang Dingtian asked. 8-star Xian martial warrior, Shimin Ningning said, and he's only 17 years old. Yang Dingtian asked, compared to Yan Yan from 5 years ago. Slightly worse, Shimin Ningning said. Yan Yan is the most talented person in Cloud Sky City in the past 100 years. If it wasn't for the incident 5 years ago, she could have become the first female city lord of Cloud Sky City. Yang Dingtian hesitated for a moment and said, what happened 5 years ago? Yan Yan didn't tell you? Shimin Ningning asked. Yang Dingtian shook his head and said, she didn't say, but every time she mentioned it, she would appear to be in great pain. It was as if her heart was being torn apart. That's her biggest scar, her biggest knot, Shimin Ningning said. Shimin Ningning said, since she hasn't told you yet, it means that you haven't melted her heart yet. When you really win her heart, she will tell you about it. So I don't have the right to tell you. If you want to know, you have to enter her heart first and let her tell you personally. Shimin Ningning sighed softly and said, these few years, Yan Yan deliberately acted arrogant, unruly, and rude. She seemed to be quite happy. But in these 5 years, she has never been truly happy. That incident hurt her too deeply. If she doesn't untie this knot, she will never be happy. If we want to mend the scar in her heart and make her truly happy, we have to rely on you, little Tian. Yang Dingtian nodded. 5 days later is a very good opportunity. Shimin Ningning smiled and said, I don't know what method you will use to break through in 5 days, but I believe you can definitely do it. Once you really do it, your previous persistence and your previous conflict with her will become correct and deeply imprinted in her heart. At that time, you will become a true expert in her heart. Then, you will be one step closer to her heart. Yang Dingtian smiled and said, Sister Ningning, you seem to know a lot about relationships. Ningning's face turned slightly red and she whispered, I'm already 28 years old. Then why don't you get married? Has there never been a man who has moved your heart? Yang Dingtian couldn't help but ask, but he regretted it after asking. Chapter 54. I'm not as beautiful as Yan Yan. How can so many people like me? Shimin Ningning whispered. I don't believe it. Yang Dingtian said, your figure, your temperament, and your gentleness are all able to make the most outstanding men fall head over heels for you. Furthermore, the more you look at your face, the more beautiful it is. The more you look at your feminine aura, just like a cup of mellow wine. Shimin Ningning blushed and whispered, save your sweet words for Yan Yan. I'm just telling the truth, Yang Dingtian said, but he didn't continue to ask why Shimin Ningning was single. After a moment of silence, Shimin Ningning whispered, I'll tell you, but don't tell anyone else. Yang Dingtian nodded. I'm very afraid of being in contact with men. As long as I'm close to a man, all the pores on my body will close, and I will feel very uncomfortable from the inside out. When I think of breathing the air that a man has breathed, I can't help but feel uncomfortable, Shimin Ningning said. Yang Dingtian was slightly shocked. He knew that Ningning did have some heterosexual misophobia, but he didn't expect it to be so serious. Then Yang Dingtian couldn't help but say, I seem to be a man too. Then isn't it hard for you to be close to me? No. Shimin Ningning said, I don't feel uncomfortable when I'm with you. Why? Yang Dingtian said, I don't believe that I'm so special. I don't know, Shimin Ningning said. Well, let's not talk about this. Shimin Ningning blushed and said, let's talk about Yang Xiaobai. Don't look down on him just because he's not as good as Yan Yan 5 years ago. He became an 8-star Xian martial warrior at the age of 17. This talent is absolutely 1 in a million. And the most important thing is that he washed away his original martial arts and recultivated the chaotic Heaven Destroyer sword. Yang Dingtian was shocked. There were less than 10 people in the entire Western continent who had become an 8-star Xian martial warrior at the age of 17. Not only was Yang Xiaobai one of them, but he also washed his martial arts. Although he must have taken the Xian dissociation pill, his Xian qi level would still regress. This Yang Xiaobai was definitely a monster. Immediately, Yang Dingtian imprinted the name Yang Xiaobai in his heart. Of course, the most important thing now was to go to the abandoned mine and kill the metal-eating beasts and ice-type beasts to get their demon cores. When it was almost noon, the floating ray landed in a remote valley. This place was more than 50 kilometers away from the border between Cloud Sky City and the Northwest Qin family. When crossing the border, they couldn't ride flying beasts anymore. They had to ride horses. Moreover, the two of them had to disguise themselves. They couldn't let others know that they were Yang Dingtian. Otherwise, they would be killed. Shimen Ningning took out a box and opened it. There was a pill inside and a mask as thin as a feather. This is a mask made from the skin of an illusionary demonic beast, Shimen Ningning said. It's still alive. After you wear this mask and eat this pill, it can maintain the vitality of the mask for 3 days. Yang Dingtian took the mask and put it on. As soon as he put it on his face, the mask seemed to come alive and gradually wriggled into Yang Dingtian's face. After taking the pill, the mask wriggled faster. 5 minutes later, the mask was completely on Yang Dingtian's face. Taking a crystal mirror from Shimen Ningning, Yang Dingtian was slightly shocked. This face was so handsome that it made Yang Dingtian a little jealous. Yang Dingtian said, "This face is too handsome. It's not good. It's too eye-catching. Why don't I change to a more ordinary face?" Shimen Ningning said, "This is the most realistic one. Illusionary masks are extremely rare." Yang Dingtian touched the mask on his face and almost couldn't feel its existence at all. It was as if it was really his face. "If I change my face, what will you do?" Yang Dingtian asked. Shimen Ningning took out another box with all kinds of ointment in it. She applied the ointment on her face with her delicate little hands and changed the shape of her face. Under Yang Dingtian's surprised gaze, Shimen Ningning's face completely changed. Although it was not as realistic as the illusionary mask, it was difficult to see the flaws. It was really amazing. This new face was very charming and even a little frivolous. "Turn around. I want to change my clothes," Shimen Ningning whispered after tidying up her face. Yang Dingtian turned around and suddenly heard a rustling sound from behind. "It's done," Shimen Ningning said. Yang Dingtian turned around and his eyes widened. After dressing up like this, she really changed into a completely different person. The peach-red wrap dress made her extremely charming and gorgeous. Her eyes, which were not very big, became like peach blossom eyes. "My current identity is Qin Hongmian, the daughter of the Crimson Stone Fort's fort master," Shimen Ningning said. Shimen Ningning said, "Although the Crimson Stone Fort is not big, it is indeed a distant relative of the Northwest Qin family, so it is very convenient to go in and out of the Northwest Qin family's sphere of influence. This woman likes beautiful men, so I won't be suspected if I bring you with me." Yang Dingtian was a little embarrassed and said, "Then should we pretend to be very intimate later?" "Yes." Shimen Ningning said, "Remember, your current identity is Qin Hongmian's new lover. Your name is Ning Quebec. Let's go. There is a town 30 miles away from here. We will rest there for a while and set off for the abandoned mine in the afternoon." An hour later, the two of them walked to the town. This town was called Iron Sword Town. From here to the border more than 100 miles away was the sphere of influence of the Iron Sword Fort. The Iron Sword Fort was the largest vassal force of Cloud Sky City. For hundreds of years, the Iron Sword Fort had rebelled and surrendered, and then rebelled again. Until 8 years ago, when Shimen Wuya killed 2 Iron Sword Fort lords in a row and sent the Black Blood Cavalry to wipe out the forces that hated the Iron Sword Fort. Then, he supported a puppet to become the new Iron Sword Fort Lord. Only then did the Iron Sword Fort become a vassal force of Cloud Sky City again. As soon as they stepped into the Iron Sword Town, Shimen Ningning suddenly became a completely different person. Her soft and delicate body was completely attached to Yang Dingtian as they walked. She acted coquettishly as if there was no one else around. Although he knew that she was acting, young Ding Tian could not help but feel a little swayed. Walking into the largest inn in the Iron Sword town, young Ding Tian and Shimen Ningning's entrance immediately attracted the attention of many people. The men looked at Shimen Ningning, and the women looked at young Ding Tian. Their eyes were very hot. Although Qin Hongnian, who was played by Shimen Ningning, was not extremely beautiful, her coquettish aura and her figure were very lethal to men. And Ning Ke, who was played by young Ding Tian, was too handsome. Shimen Ningning found the best seat with a delicate voice. She took out a silk handkerchief and wiped the table and chair over and over again. Finally, she sat down next to young Ding Tian as if she was boneless. The waiter brought a list for them to order. Ningning raised her orchid fingers and gently twirled the list with 2 fingers. She pouted and glanced at the names of the dishes on the list coquettishly. She looked lazy and seductive. Damn, I can't stand this woman. A strong man holding a sword next to him looked at Ningning and swallowed his saliva. There were 3 warriors sitting with him. Their hot eyes also fell on Ningning's figure. Ningning heard his words and glanced at him disdainfully. She said coquettishly, "Bumpkin." The strong man was angry. He suddenly stood up and was about to rush over. Ningning ignored him and said coquettishly, "The food here is really bad. There is nothing edible at all. It's far worse than our Qin city." As soon as she said this, the strong man who was about to draw his sword changed his expression. He then put the sword back into the scabbard and sat back down resentfully. The 3 warriors sitting with him also retracted their gazes. They didn't dare to look at Ningning so presumptuously. Ningning disdainfully pursed her lips. Then, she even used her slender fingers to order a few dishes. They were all the most expensive and exquisite dishes in the restaurant. "Ning Ke, you have to suffer for a few more days. When we get home, you can eat whatever you want," Ningning said to young Ding Tian coquettishly. "Have you heard? Cloud Sky City is going to appoint a good-for-nothing called young Ding Tian as the new city lord. I heard that the good-for-nothing is already in his 20s and has only just passed the enlightenment period. He also learned the pig-slaying swordsmanship. A few days ago, he completely went crazy," the strong man sitting next to them suddenly said. "Doesn't that mean that we have to listen to the orders of a good-for-nothing in the future?" Another thin man said with a wretched expression, "Then isn't Miss Shimen a flower stuck in a pile of cow dung? She is a beauty who is as famous as Fairy Dongfang. That madman is really lucky. With such a beauty, I'm afraid that even his soul will be gone." Suddenly, everyone present swallowed their saliva. "If you want to die, then continue." The strong man sneered, "Miss Shimen and that good-for-nothing are only husband and wife in name. She has been targeted by the Qin clan's young master for a long time. After a year and a half, when that good-for-nothing dies, Miss Shimen will become the Qin clan's young master's woman." When the thin man heard that Shimen Yan was the exclusive property of the Northwest Qin clan's young master, his expression changed slightly. He was afraid that his words would be heard by others. "Then, will our metal sword fort rebel?" Another person asked. "Rebel? Rebel your head." The strong man said, "If that good-for-nothing really becomes the city lord, then I will be the first to rebel. But do you know who will become the new city lord? It will be the Northwest Qin clan's young master's 3rd son, Qin Shaobai. He is also the grandson of Cloud Sky City's great elder Yang Yan. Now, he has changed his name to Yang Shaobai and is going to enter Cloud Sky City's gate again. That good-for-nothing Yang Ding Tian is dead for sure. He might not even live past next year," the thin man said. "Young Master Yang Ding Tian has the Northwest Qin clan on the outside and the Yang clan on the inside. We don't even know how Yang Ding Tian died. Who knows, we might hear the news of his death tomorrow." Tisk tisk. The thin man said again, "It is indeed a good method and a good plan. When the time comes, Cloud Sky City's power will all belong to the Northwest Qin clan. In the entire Western continent, the Northwest Qin clan will be invincible. If you continue to speak with such a sour tone, you won't live past tomorrow, the strong man said. For such a big matter, us small people can only listen to it. What's the point of talking so much? Then, where should our metal sword fort go? Another person asked. The strong man drank a mouthful of wine and said, Our metal sword fort. The fort lord has already made his choice. You will see it soon. Hearing this, Yang Dingtian frowned slightly. Even the small people in the metal sword fort knew about this matter. It could be seen that the news had already spread throughout Cloud Sky City. Everyone could see that the Northwest Qin clan had the wild ambition of annexing Cloud Sky City. Yang Yen and the others actually turned a deaf ear to it and allowed their ancestral foundation to fall into the hands of the enemy. If they really supported Yang Xiaobai's ascension to the throne, they would be too shameless and too stupid. However, everything in front of him was closely related to Yang Dingtian, but it also had nothing to do with Yang Dingtian. There was only one thing he could do, and that was to become stronger as fast as possible. At this moment, in the entire restaurant, not only was the strong man discussing this matter, almost everyone was discussing this matter. Some people's words were extremely unbearable, especially regarding Shimin Yinyan's appearance and figure. Countless men's eyes turned green when they heard it. I heard that the Northwest Qin clan's young master is completely like a beast. Who knows how many women he has harmed? If young Mistress Shimin were to be sent up so delicately, wouldn't it be? A man with triangular eyes drooled. Humph. A cold snort was heard. Instantly, the entire restaurant fell silent. Then, a black figure slowly walked in. It was Shimin Ju, Cloud Sky City's chief of internal affairs. He actually appeared here. What was he doing here? Chapter 55. Kill him and hang his head on the city wall of Cloud Sky City. Shimin Ju pointed at the triangular-eyed man and said indifferently. Yes. Instantly, two black-robed warriors stepped forward and were about to drag the triangular-eyed man out to kill him. Spare my life, Shimin steward, spare my life. The triangular-eyed man was so terrified that he immediately knelt down and kowtowed desperately. A look of disgust flashed across Shimin Ju's eyes. Without even looking, he flicked his sleeve lightly. Puff. A few meters away, the triangular-eyed man's brain instantly turned into a pile of mud and he died completely. Everyone in the restaurant held their breaths. Some even couldn't hold back their urge to pee and were about to vomit. Everyone lowered their heads and didn't dare to look at Shimin Ju. They didn't even dare to breathe loudly. They didn't know Shimin Ju's prestige in Cloud Sky City, but now they finally knew. Yang Dingtian didn't expect Shimin Ju to walk directly to his and Shimin Ningning's table. His heart skipped a beat and his eyebrows trembled slightly. Ningning's small hand immediately grasped Yang Dingtian's hand tightly and then gently shook it. I was going to the Metal Sword Fort for official business, but I didn't expect to see Miss Qin here. Hence, I specially came to greet you. Shimin Ju stepped forward and bowed slightly to Shimin Ningning. Can I sit down? No. Shimin Ningning said, Please help yourself, Shimin steward. Don't disturb our meal. 2 years ago, I had a hurried meeting with Miss Qin in the Northwest Qin City. I didn't expect to meet you here today. Miss Qin, what brings you to my Cloud Sky City territory? Shimin Ju sat down opposite her and asked. Shimin Ningning said, I'm just passing by. Oh. Shimin Ju's gaze landed on Yang Dingtian's face and looked up and down several times. His gaze was as though he wanted to peel off a person's skin. Then, he asked indifferently, May I know your surname? Ning Quebec, Yang Dingtian said proudly. Forgive me for not recognizing you, but I don't have any impression of Mr. Ning. This is very strange. Mr. Ning is such a talent. If I had seen you, I definitely wouldn't have forgotten you. Shimin Ju said, Where are you from? South Sea, Ning family. Yang Dingtian. Tens of thousands of miles away. That's really tough. Shimin Ju looked at Yang Dingtian with a slight smile on the corners of his mouth, and then he said, "The two of you have to be careful on your journey." After that, Shimin Ju stood up and left. Only when his back view could no longer be seen did everyone in the restaurant gasp for breath. However, they still didn't dare to speak loudly. Just as Yang Dingtian was about to speak, Ningning pinched his thigh and wrote on Yang Dingtian's thigh, "He left two people behind." "Humph, what's the big deal?" Shimin Ningning pretended to be indifferent and said coldly. What did he mean by that last sentence? Was he threatening us? Yang Dingtian asked. After that, the two of them hurriedly finished their meal and went upstairs to the guest room. They wanted to pretend to take an afternoon nap to avoid Shimin Ju and the others. "I want a room, the best one," Shimin Ningning said, then threw out a few gold coins. She wanted one room, not two. "Yes, Mississippi," the innkeeper immediately brought the two of them to the best room in the east with great hospitality. It was indeed the best room. In the exquisite and majestic room, everything was luxurious and superior, whether it was the bonsai in the corner, the carpet under their feet, or even the expensive jade flower sandalwood incense. "What is Shimin Ju doing here?" Yang Dingtian asked. "Is he here to persuade the metal sword fortress to support Qin Shaobai?" "Logically speaking, that should be the case," Shimin Ningning said. Shimin Ju decided to marry Tang Xian, which means that he is standing on the Yang family's side. Therefore, it means that he also supports Qin Shaobai's ascension. But in reality, I can't see through this person. This person is very scheming. When foster father was here, he could still be controlled. Now that foster father is gone, there shouldn't be anyone in Cloud Sky City who can control him. Could it be that he has his own motives? He wants to become the Cloud Sky City Lord himself. Yang Dingtian asked. "I can't see through him," Shimin Ningning said. Shimin Ningning said, "In public knowledge, among the young experts in Cloud Sky City, Black Blood Cavalry Commander Shimin Lai is the undisputed number one. But I always have a feeling that Shimin Ju is the most powerful among foster father's foster sons. It's just that he is good at hiding. As for how powerful he is, I can't guess. Therefore, your opponent in a year and a half definitely can't just focus on Shimin Yan. You have to focus on Shimin Ju and Qin Shaobai." Yang Dingtian suddenly recalled the scene just now. Shimin Ju only lightly flicked his sleeve and smashed the triangular-eyed man's head from more than 10 meters away. It was indeed a terrifying strength. Thinking about Shimin Ju's strange gaze and his words, Yang Dingtian asked, "Could it be that Shimin Ju discovered our flaw? His tone is very strange. He is too scheming, so it is very difficult to tell what he is thinking from his actions and words," Shimin Ningning said. "Therefore, I also don't know if he is suspicious of us or if he is just pretending." "Has he seen Qin Hongmian before?" Yang Dingtian asked. "He should have. He represented foster father to go to northwest Qin City a few times," Shimin Ningning said. "We just want 2 demon cores. I hope he won't bring us any trouble." Before Yang Dingtian could finish his sentence, Shimin Ningning's delicate body suddenly pounced on him. Her jade-like arms wrapped around Yang Dingtian's neck like a snake, and her face pressed against Yang Dingtian's. The whole process was very sudden. Yang Dingtian's nose was instantly filled with a delicate fragrance, and his heart was filled with tenderness. "There is someone outside." Shimin Ningning let out an infatuated voice while whispering in Yang Dingtian's ear, "It is someone sent by Shimin Ju. He is suspicious of us. Hurry up and put on an act. Qin Hongmian is a very absurd woman. If we don't put on an act and arouse Shimin Ju's suspicion, not only will our plan be ruined, but our lives will also be in danger. This is not Cloud Heaven City. Once we arouse his suspicion, he will definitely kill us." Ningning bent down and whispered in his ear, "Little Tian, just treat this as a dream." Although nothing really happened, to Yang Dingtian, it was still a perilous situation. Chapter 56. The people outside had already left. Even young Dingtian and Ningning didn't know when they left. Just now, if they wanted to dispel the doubts of the people outside, just a kiss was not enough. Therefore, Shiman Ningning led the two of them to act more intimately. Until they almost forgot that they were acting and were almost intoxicated. After calming down, the two of them were silent, as if neither of them was embarrassed to open their eyes first to face the possible embarrassment. Finally, it was Shiman Ningning who opened her eyes and said softly, "I had no choice just now. You can pretend that nothing happened." Yang Dingtian shook his head. Since it had already happened, it was indeed difficult to pretend that nothing had happened. Ningning explained in a low voice, "I've never thought of marrying in my life because I'm extremely repulsed by men. But I didn't expect that your aura would make me feel so close to you. So, I treat you as my family." Then what happened just now can be regarded as the intimacy between family members. This explanation was too far-fetched. Yang Dingtian suddenly said, "Sister Ningning, we just met. Why are you so good to me?" Shiman Ningning was stunned and then fell silent, as if it was difficult for her to answer. Yang Dingtian hurriedly said, "Sister Ningning, it's okay if you don't want to say it." After asking, Yang Dingtian felt that it was inappropriate to ask a girl like this. Although he really didn't know why such an excellent Shiman Ningning would have such a good impression of him. At this time, Shiman Ningning suddenly raised her head and said, "Xiaotian, of course there's a reason why I'm good to you, but I really can't tell you now. If I have to use a word to describe it, it should be fate." Yang Dingtian was shocked. Wasn't this word a little too heavy? Using fate was a little too much, but she actually used fate. It's very strange. "Sister, why do you use such a heavy word like fate?" Shiman Ningning said, "But it's true. As soon as you appeared by my side, I immediately knew that it was fate with that unique smell." Suddenly, Yang Dingtian was even more confused. Ningning was Shiman Wuya's adopted daughter. She shouldn't have anything to do with him. Shiman Ningning said softly, "Well, this is sister's secret, a secret that Yan Yan doesn't know. It's a very deep secret. I can't tell you now, but if fate allows it in the future, I'll tell you, okay? Now, it's time for us to go." Half an hour later. Shiman Ningning had finished bathing, put on her clothes, and dressed up in front of the mirror. "We should go." Ningning said, "Take a bath, change your clothes, and buy 2 horses. We'll cross the border and go to the abandoned mine." Yang Dingtian said, "Shiman Ju shouldn't suspect us, right?" "I don't think so." Shiman Ningning blushed and whispered. Yang Dingtian went to buy a carriage and a horse. Shiman Ningning sat in the carriage while he rode the horse to the border post. After leaving the Iron Sword Market, the road was mostly filled with fields, mountains, mines, and forests. These were all properties of the Metal Sword Fort, but they had to pay taxes in Cloud Sky City. Along the way, there was a castle every few miles. Some were big and some were small. There were different numbers of swordsmen living in them, guarding and maintaining the order of the area. There were many carriages and horses along the way, so Yang Dingtian didn't talk much with Ningning. After what happened last night, even if he treated it as a dream, he still felt embarrassed. However, Ningning gave Yang Dingtian water and fruits several times along the way. Nothing happened along the way. In less than half a day, they finished the last 100 miles, which was the famous border line. On the map, it was only a red line, but when he saw it in person, Yang Dingtian still felt shocked. In the bottomless magma abyss, the entire ground was violently torn apart. The abyss was 4 to 5 miles wide. The blood-red magma was rolling and surging, and the bottom couldn't be seen. This was indeed a natural borderline. Yang Dingtian knew that this magma abyss was more than 2,000 miles long. It even exceeded the territory of Cloud Sky City and the Northwest Qin family. A 5-meter-wide and 3,000-meter-long drawbridge spanned across the two sides of the abyss, becoming the only passage between the two places. Two huge castles guarded the two ends of the drawbridge. The eastern end was Cloud Sky City's castle, and the western end was the Northwest Qin family's castle. Along the magma abyss, there was a tall sentry post every 5 miles to monitor any mounts that might fly over the abyss. Mounts were not allowed to fly here. Once they were discovered, they were immediately shot to death. Yang Dingtian was currently queuing at the square in front of the castle, waiting to cross the bridge. Although this was the territory of the Metal Sword Fort, the castle in front of him was hung with the flag of Cloud Sky City. This was the frontier of Cloud Sky City, so the military was very strict. Dense crossbows could be seen everywhere. There were also giant crossbows and even more than 10 catapults. The one guarding this abyss castle is Shiman Nu. He is also foster father's most valued foster son. We call him second brother. His cultivation is not inferior to Shiman Lai's. He has 800 warriors under him, and his power is only weaker than Shiman Ju and Shiman Lai. Ningning explained softly, he is very loyal to foster father. Yan Yan sent him a messenger crow on the way back to Cloud Sky City, asking him to pledge his loyalty to you, but he did not respond. Shiman Ju, Shiman Lai, and Shiman Nu were Shiman Wuya's 3 most outstanding foster sons. Shiman Wuya controlled the greatest power in Cloud Sky City, and they were known as the Iron Triangle. Shiman Wuya relied on these 3 to completely take over the Elders Guild. But now, it seemed that the Iron Triangle had already fallen apart. Yang Dingtian looked at the elite swordsmen and knights in the square. Every one of them was serious and sharp. They did not relax at all because of the huge change in Cloud Sky City. He could imagine how powerful the owner of this castle, Shiman Nu, was. After checking the passing butterflies, because Yang Dingtian and the coachman had 3 people, 2 horses, and 1 carriage, they paid 2 gold coins to cross the bridge. Yang Dingtian and Shiman Ningning were allowed to walk on this huge and famous suspension bridge. Although it was a suspension bridge, it was different from what Yang Dingtian had imagined. Many carriages and horses walked on it, but the bridge did not shake much. The suspension bridge was 5 meters wide and could allow 2 carriages to walk side by side. More than 10 special iron chains as thick as an arm formed the main body of the suspension bridge. The bridge was covered with sturdy planks without any gaps. On both sides of the bridge, there were railings that were as tall as a person. It was hard to imagine how Cloud Sky City and the Northwest Qin family built this magnificent suspension bridge a few hundred years ago. Even on Earth with its advanced technology, it was very difficult to build such a suspension bridge because there was no support under the bridge. The 5-meter-wide bridge was divided into 2 passageways. One came from the east and the other went from the west. One went back and the other went back and forth. There were many people on the bridge because this was the only passageway for thousands of miles. After walking across the 5 miles long suspension bridge, Yang Dingtian was once again checked by the wind butterfly. He had to pay a fee of 3 gold coins before he could truly step into the territory of the Northwest Qin family. Compared to the Bridgehead Castle in Cloud Sky City, the Northwest Qin family's castle was bigger. There was even a small town outside the castle. This is called Abyss Border Town. The commander is the 7th younger brother of the Qin family's master. He is also Qin Hongmian's uncle. He is very familiar with Qin Hongmian, so we have to leave here quickly to prevent him from finding out, Shiman Ningning said. The 2 of them sped up and left the crowded town. Then, they gave the coachman a sum of money and sent him away. After unloading the carriage, the 2 of them rode their horses towards the abandoned mine. The abandoned demonic silver mine was in the southwest. It was about 200 miles away from here and was in the wilderness. Yang Dingtian and Shiman Ningning tried their best not to take the main road and rode on the remote mountain roads. After walking for dozens of miles, they were safe and sound. At this time, they were already in the wilderness and there was almost no one around. The 2 of them continued to head in the southwest direction at full speed. Suddenly, the ground in front of them shook and dust filled the air. It was obvious that there was a large cavalry. This should be Qin Xiaobai's team returning to Cloud Sky City. Let's go. Ningning's face changed and she wanted to quickly escape. Chapter 57. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. Whistling sounds could be heard in the air as dozens of sharp arrows suddenly shot towards the two of them. One of them flew past Yang Dingtian's ear and nailed into the ground dozens of meters behind him. This was an empty wilderness, and it was difficult to find a place to hide. Then, a team of more than a dozen knights quickly moved forward and surrounded Yang Dingtian and Shimen Ningning. More than a dozen iron spears and sharp blades locked their throats. Who are you two? Why aren't you taking the main road? Why are you riding stealthily in the wilderness? What are you trying to do? A knight asked coldly. At this moment, the cavalry troops in the distance were getting closer and closer. There were hundreds of them and more than a dozen magnificent carriages. However, this troop was actually holding the flag of Cloud Sky City. Who are you? Shimen Ningning asked coldly, since when can Cloud Sky City's troops appear on the Northwest Qin family's land so openly? Although she was surrounded in the middle, Shimen Ningning's attitude was very arrogant. Tell me your name, or die, the knight said coldly. Qin Hongnian, daughter of the Crimson Stone Fort Master of the Northwest Qin family, Shimen Ningning said coldly. That person's expression changed slightly. He asked, what proof do you have? Shimen Ningning immediately took out a jade pendant and flashed it in front of the knight. This was Qin Hongnian's identity card. Greetings, Miss Qin. The horseman sheathed his sword and saluted on his horse. Then, the dozen or so cavalry withdrew their sharp spears and spread out. Can we go now? Shimen Ningning asked coldly. Of course, the knight replied. Immediately, Yang Dingtian and Shimen Ningning galloped hundreds of meters away. Wait! Suddenly, there was a clear shout in the air. It was the voice of a young man in the distance. It was just a soft shout, but it could be heard hundreds of meters away. Then, a man in a brocade robe rode out of the group. He looked greedily at Ningning's beautiful back and said indifferently, which young lady is in front? Turn around and let me have a look. His words were arrogant and frivolous. Shimen Ningning and Yang Dingtian stopped their horses and turned around. It's you. The man in embroidered robes was slightly stunned when he saw Ningning, and then an evil smile appeared on the corners of his handsome mouth. He said, Big Sister Hongnian, instead of taking the main road, you chose to take the side roads. Could it be that there's something shameful going on? Qin Xiaobai, what does this have to do with you? Qin Hongnian, who was played by Shimen Ningning, said with hostility. He was Qin Xiaobai. She was not even 17 years old, but she was already so tall. She had a beautiful face, and the corners of her mouth seemed to be constantly smiling frivolously. From her clothes to her hair, every inch of her hair was meticulous, and she was full of nobility. However, his entire face revealed a kind of wanton and unrestrained look at all times. A knight as husband and wife means endless devotion for the rest of your life. You and I have at least had a few nights of affection. Why are you so cold towards me? Qin Xiaobai teasingly glanced up and down at every part of Ningning's body. His gaze seemed to want to peel her apart. Yang Dingtian immediately said coldly, please show some respect. Qin Xiaobai immediately glanced at Yang Dingtian and raised his chin slightly. His attitude was incomparably arrogant, but a cold light flashed in his eyes. He teased, Big Sister Hongnian, is this your new lover? Then, Qin Xiaobai stared coldly at Yang Dingtian. Haven't you heard that even if I don't want the woman I've slept with, no one else can touch her? Shut up. Shimen Ningning scolded. You're no longer the young master of the Qin family. You've been expelled. What right do you have to say such words to me? If you have the ability, kill me here. Otherwise, I don't have the time to talk nonsense with you. Qin Xiaobai's eyes turned cold, but the smile on the corners of his mouth became more intense. Ning Lang, let's go. Shimen Ningning shouted. Then, young Ding Tian and Shimen Ningning galloped wildly towards the south. Qin Xiaobai looked at their backs and only smiled coldly. He didn't give the order to chase after them. Xiaobai, if you like that woman, just take her and kill the man. A delicate voice sounded softly. You're my son, the future master of Cloud Sky City. If you want something, just take it. Moreover, this woman was used by you. You can't let other men touch her. After I abandoned Qin Hongnian, she became promiscuous. I don't know how many men she has. I'm a clean freak. I don't want to touch her anymore. Qin Xiaobai smiled evilly. I just didn't expect her body to be so enchanting. I didn't notice it before. Enchanting? Is she as enchanting as my mother? The woman asked. After galloping for 20 miles into the mountains, Yang Dingtian and Shimen Ningning finally slowed down when they couldn't see Qin Xiaobai's team anymore. This Qin Xiaobai is very dangerous, Yang Dingtian said. He's not just dangerous. He's a lunatic. A rational and sinister lunatic, Ningning said. This person's greed, evil, and jealousy are almost unparalleled. He can't bear to see anyone better than him. He wants to take all the treasures and beauties he sees for himself. But he likes the new and hates the old. No matter how beautiful a woman is, he'll play with her for at most a month before abandoning her. But he won't let any man touch the woman he abandoned. Can the Northwest Qin family tolerate him? Can Qin Huayu tolerate him? Yang Dingtian asked. Ningning said, he's very smart and has great talent. The Qin family lord loves and dotes on him. Okay, let's not talk about it. He's an opponent you're destined to defeat. There will be a lot of time to deal with him in the future. Ningning said, let's hurry to the abandoned mine and try to get the ice and metal demon cores before sunset. The wilderness at night is still very dangerous. Then, the two sped up and rushed along the mountain road to the demonic silver mine deep in the mountains. Although it was deep in the mountains and wilderness, a flat road had been corrected in order to transport the demonic silver mine out. However, the mine had been abandoned for decades and the road was covered with tall weeds. 2 hours later, the two arrived at the abandoned demonic silver mine. This was a huge mountain field. A huge open space had been carved out of the mountain. There were many wooden houses, outposts, and even a small castle. However, these houses had long been abandoned. Weeds grew everywhere. Every place was filled with a desolate and dilapidated aura and the smell of rotten wood. Not far away, there was a dark entrance to the mine. It was like the mouth of a demon, bottomless. Inside was the abandoned demonic silver mine. Ningning began to gently instruct. This is a spiritual chi pill. This mine has been abandoned for a long time, so there shouldn't be much air in the depths. This spiritual chi pill can provide enough air nutrients for your body for half a day. Xiao Tian, you must take this wonder spirit pill and life essence pill whenever you are injured. Even if you are tired, you must take it no matter how precious it is. There is also the beast soul spirit pill. As long as you encounter danger, you must take it. Do you hear me? Ningning passed the pills to Yang Dingtian. The upper body of the deep sea Xian clothes was already on Yang Dingtian's body this morning. Ningning tried many times to take off the deep sea Xian clothes for the lower body, but she couldn't. It was as if it was growing on her delicate body. Finally, Ningning took out a box. After opening it, a scorching energy suddenly rushed to his face. It was a 2-foot-long sharp blade. It was a fiery red blade that bloomed with dazzling light. This is the feather of the dark sky magic phoenix. It's very sharp and is filled with fiery energy. Your Xian Qi is too weak. It's difficult to kill monsters with other weapons. You can kill them with this flame feather. Ningning said, you're not fast enough, but your swordsmanship is very exquisite. You must make full use of the subtlety of the pig-slaying swordsmanship and hit the monster's vital points in advance. Don't let them hit you. Also, the energy in this flame feather is limited. It can probably kill more than 10 demonic beasts, so you have to make sure that you can kill all the way to the unfreezing pool in the deepest part of the mine and still have enough energy to kill the ice-type demonic beast. Ningning said, once the energy of the flame feather is exhausted, you must leave the mine. Although there are few monsters here, and they're all low-level monsters, if there's a powerful monster, you'll be in danger. Big Sister will wait for you outside. But remember, if you don't come out before sunset, Big Sister will go in to find you. Ningning said. Yang Dingtian nodded and asked, is it safe for you to be alone outside? There's no one in 100-mile radius, only beasts and monsters. Ningning said, as long as there's no one, no matter how strong the monsters are, I'll be safe. Ningning was full of confidence because she was a talented beast whisperer. Then I'll go in. Yang Dingtian said, as long as I get 2 monster cores, I'll come out. Well, you must use what you need. Don't make Big Sister worry. Ningning stroked Yang Dingtian's face and smiled gently, go, Big Sister will wait for you outside. Yang Dingtian held the dark sky magic phoenix's flame feather. He took a deep breath and slowly walked into the mine. Chapter 58. There were traces of excavation everywhere in the mine. There were rocks everywhere and only a small amount of soil. It was about 2 meters high and 2 meters wide. It was very spacious for a person to walk in. There was no more magic silver inside. Everywhere was filled with a grayish-white aura. It was silent, except for the occasional sound of insects. Yang Dingtian held the flame feather and walked forward. Although there was no light in the mine, the flame feather's light was enough to illuminate a dozen meters around him. Yang Dingtian held his breath and carefully walked inside. Although there weren't many demon beasts here, it was still more dangerous than the periphery of the Red Wasteland. This was because it was inside a cave and not on a wide flat surface. After several hundred meters, he didn't encounter any demon beasts. After 1,000 meters, he didn't encounter any demon beasts. After 2,000 meters, he still didn't encounter any demon beasts. How can this be? How can there not be any demon beasts? Yang Dingtian was disappointed. Ningning said that although there were very few demon beasts in the abandoned mine, there should be at least a few dozen. How come he didn't encounter any? Next, Yang Dingtian had to take out the bloody black gold from the box to attract the gold-eating beasts. The bloody black gold was extremely attractive to gold-type demon beasts. As long as there was a gold-eating beast within a few hundred meters, it would definitely be attracted. However, Yang Dingtian was disappointed. Still, no demon beasts appeared. At this time, Yang Dingtian was already 4,000 meters deep into the mine. There was only 1,000 meters left before he reached the bottom. The entire mine was winding and extended in all directions. Yang Dingtian kept going deeper and deeper. He even walked past every fork. He didn't know how many turns he had taken and how many forks he had passed. The mine was still silent. At first, there were still the sounds of insects, but later, there were no more insects. He was still 500 meters away from the deepest part of the mine, but there were still no demon beasts. How can this be? What the hell happened? Why are all the demon beasts gone? Yang Dingtian was shocked. Was he going to return empty-handed today? At this time, the surrounding temperature was getting lower and lower. The deeper they went into the mine, the thicker the frost on the ground. In the end, it completely turned into frost. Yang Dingtian knew that this was because of the unfreezing pool. Ningning had said that there had been an earthquake here a few months ago. Unfreezing water gushed out from the depths of the mine and condensed into a pool, causing the surrounding temperature to drop sharply. Yang Dingtian continued to walk forward. The ground was no longer covered in frost, but a thick layer of ice. Moreover, there was already a faint light in front. Unfreezing water emitted light. Yang Dingtian knew that he was not far from the deepest part of the mine. Suddenly, Yang Dingtian placed all his hopes on the unfreezing pond, hoping that there would be ice-type demon beasts there. After all, today's main goal was the ice-type demonic beast. There were other gold-eating beasts in other places, but ice-type demonic beasts could only be found in the northern continent, which was thousands of miles away. The deeper they went, the colder it became. In the end, the entire mine was crystal clear, completely covered by a layer of ice. After turning a corner, the mouth of the cave in front emitted a snow-white light. Yang Dingtian knew that he would soon reach the deepest part of the mine. The unfreezing pond was right in front of him. Whether or not there would be ice-type demonic beasts would depend on this moment. Holding his breath, Yang Dingtian slowly walked forward to the end of the tunnel. Below, there was an incomparably huge cave. The area was the size of a football field, but it was hundreds of meters deep. This cave was formed by the collapse of the earthquake. Every part of the cave was covered in ice. It was as beautiful as a crystal palace, with sharp icicles everywhere. In the center of the cave, there was a transparent pool of water about 200 meters in area. The pool emitted a snow-white light, illuminating the entire huge cave. This was the unfreezing pond. There were also the demonic beasts that Yang Dingtian was concerned about. There were dozens of gold-eating beasts of all kinds, using their sharp claws to dig through the ice, looking for all kinds of metals to eat. Yang Dingtian finally knew why there was not a single demonic beast in the entire mine. It was because all the demonic beasts were gathered here because there were metals to eat. The earthquake had caused some of the metals in the depths of the ground to be overturned. There were also ice-type demonic beasts, which were leisurely swimming in the unfreezing pond. It was really a case of being at the end of the road, but there was always a glimmer of hope. However, there were too many gold-eating beasts in front of him. There were dozens of them here, and one of them was a second-grade demonic beast. Although he had the flame feather, if dozens of demonic beasts besieged him, it would be extremely dangerous, even a dead end. However, it was not that there was no way. Yang Dingtian took out the bloody black gold and shook it in the air, then immediately put it into a jade box. It could not be exposed to the air for too long, or the dozens of gold-eating beasts would rush over. Sure enough, the gold-eating beasts below seemed to have smelled an incomparably delicious smell. They immediately raised their heads to look at Yang Dingtian's hiding place, but found nothing. Most of the demonic beasts were still digging through the ice, looking for food. The demonic beast closest to Yang Dingtian hesitated for a moment, then quickly ran towards Yang Dingtian's location. Yang Dingtian immediately retreated a few hundred meters. He could not kill the gold-eating beasts here, otherwise, he would attract the attention of the group of gold-eating beasts below. After retreating to a corner 100 meters away, Yang Dingtian took the most advantageous position, then waited for the gold-eating beast to arrive. Sure enough, a minute later, a gold-eating beast sneakily came. Yang Dingtian hid the flame feather behind his back, covering the light. Suddenly, the entire mine was pitch black, so only the small fiery red eyes of the gold-eating beast could be seen. This was a gold-eating demonic rat, about the size of a rabbit. Its attack power was not strong, but it was extremely agile. Its teeth were very sharp, and it specialized in attacking people's crotch. Therefore, to Yang Dingtian, this was a very dangerous demonic beast. He must not let it get close to him, otherwise, it would be very dangerous. Yang Dingtian held his breath and locked all the pores on his body. But even so, he was still discovered by the gold-eating demonic rat. It immediately stopped, sniffed with its small nose, and quickly locked onto Yang Dingtian's position. Its two fiery red eyes suddenly stared at Yang Dingtian. Swoosh! Suddenly, like a bolt of lightning, the gold-eating demonic rat rushed over. Its speed was shockingly fast, completely exceeding Yang Dingtian's imagination. The most frightening thing was that when it rushed over, it actually closed its eyes. Suddenly, the entire mine was pitch black, and the gold-eating demonic rat could no longer be seen. What a cunning demonic beast! Yang Dingtian suddenly felt a huge sense of danger. He immediately waved the flame feather on his back, and the pitch-black mine was instantly filled with a dazzling light. At this moment, young Ding Tian shockingly realized that the gold-eating demonic rat was less than a foot away from his crotch. Its mouth was already open, revealing its sharp fangs. In less than 0.01 seconds, it would bite his crotch. However, when the flame feather flashed with a dazzling light, the gold-eating demonic rat was slightly stunned. It paused for a moment, and then rushed over according to inertia. Pig-slaying sword art, split in two. Yang Ding Tian waved the flame feather in his hand towards the gold-eating demonic rat's direction. Swish! Swish! Suddenly, the gold-eating demonic rat was split into two halves in the air. There was no sound, and it did not even let out a scream. What a good treasure! Yang Ding Tian stared at the flame feather in a daze. The gold-eating demonic rat ate gold all year round. Not only its skin, even its hair was harder than steel. It was much harder to kill compared to the fire-eyed demonic wolf and the wind snake. If one did not have strong Xian Qi, even the best steel sword would not be able to harm them. However, this flame feather cut through the gold-eating demonic rat's steel body as easily as cutting through tofu. Yang Ding Tian squatted down and looked at the gold-eating demonic rat's corpse. The cut wound was actually black, and it was directly burnt. Not even a drop of blood flowed out. This flame feather was really too awesome. He easily dug out the demon core from the gold-eating fiend rat's brain. It was still boiling hot and looked like a fiery red metal walnut. It was covered with complicated patterns. He placed the gold-eating fiend rat's demon core into the box. The third gold-type demonic core was in his hands. Next, it was time to get the fourth ice-type demonic core. In the unfreezing pool below, there were at least 3 ice-type demonic beasts swimming around. Next to the pool, there were dozens of gold-eating demonic beasts. First, he had to deal with these dozens of gold-eating demonic beasts. Otherwise, not only would he not be able to get the ice-type demonic core, he would also lose his life. Yang Ding Tian had 2 plans. The first plan was to throw the bloody black gold far away. The dozens of gold-eating demonic beasts would definitely pounce on it and fight with each other. In the end, the only demonic beast left would be the rank 2 gold-eating demonic beast. After Yang Ding Tian went down to kill the rank 2 gold-eating demonic beast, he would go to the unfreezing pool to kill the ice-type demonic beast. The second plan was to put the bloody black gold in the mine 1,000 meters away and attract all the gold-eating demonic beasts there. Then, he would go to the unfreezing pool to kill the ice-type demonic beast. Both plans had their flaws and uncertainties, but Yang Ding Tian still chose the first plan. However, Yang Ding Tian did not know if things would go as he expected. Even so, in the end, Yang Ding Tian would have to kill the rank 2 gold-eating demonic beast alone, which was many times stronger than the rank 1 gold-eating demonic beast. Holding his breath, Yang Ding Tian grabbed the bloody black gold in his hand and threw it towards the group of gold-eating demonic beasts. Whoosh! The bloody black gold weighing more than 10 kilograms was thrown dozens of meters away. The gold-eating demonic beasts that were shaving ice were stunned. They sniffed with their noses and then crazily rushed towards the bloody black gold. The attraction of the bloody black gold to the gold-eating demonic beasts was fatal. The dozens of gold-eating demonic beasts had already begun to crazily kill each other, desperately biting and tearing at each other. Suddenly, beasts' blood splattered everywhere, and miserable cries rang out. When this group of low-level gold-eating demonic beasts saw the bloody black gold, it was as if they had gone completely crazy, rushing forward to fight for it. Chapter 59. The condensing ice pearl had a fatal attraction to ice-type beasts. It was almost as attractive as the bloody black gold to metal-eating beasts. Why did these 4 snakes not seem to care? However, Yang Ding Tian soon found out. For these 4 snakes, this unfreezing pool had enough ice-type Xian Qi, enough for them to absorb for countless years. Although this condensing ice pearl had a very dense ice-type xian-qi, it was not very useful for low-level ice-type beasts. This way was not going to work. Yang Dingtian put away the condensing ice pearl and thought of another way, which was to anger one of the snakes. Thus, Yang Dingtian dug out a lot of stones, picked one of the four-legged cold snakes and threw it at it. That snake dodged Yang Dingtian's stones, and then stared at Yang Dingtian with anger, hissing in protest. Yang Dingtian ignored it and threw another stone. That snake dodged again. Its small eyes stared at Yang Dingtian, completely enraged. Yang Dingtian threw another stone. Whoosh! That snake suddenly spat out an ice blade, directly cutting that stone in the air. Yang Dingtian threw another stone, and that snake furiously spat out an ice blade at Yang Dingtian. He waved the flame feather in his hand, and that ice blade turned into water before it could reach him. Next, Yang Dingtian threw an unknown number of stones, angering the four cold snakes one by one. They spat out ice blades at Yang Dingtian, and then they were all melted by his flame feather. In the end, the four snakes used up all their ice-type xian-qi, but they still did not go ashore. Yang Dingtian threw stones again, and they simply drilled into the water. Yang Dingtian was suddenly at his wits' end. Did he really have to go into the water? Yang Dingtian was puzzled. He couldn't have come here for nothing, right? So what if he went into the water? Moreover, the ice-cold xian-qi of the four snakes had been exhausted. Yang Dingtian clenched his teeth and looked at the unfreezing pool. He held his breath and jumped in. Plop! Yang Dingtian's body fell into the tranquil unfreezing water. Hiss! It was truly bone-piercing cold. Yang Dingtian's body suddenly shuddered, and the heat in his body quickly dissipated. He had imagined the coldness of the unfreezing water, but when he actually jumped in, he found that the coldness was far beyond his imagination. Suddenly, Yang Dingtian felt his body stiffen. At this time, when the four snakes saw Yang Dingtian jump into the unfreezing pool, their eyes suddenly became fierce. Their 3 to 4 meter long bodies madly rushed towards Yang Dingtian, opening their mouths to reveal their ferocious fangs. Before, when Yang Dingtian teased them, they were not so angry. At this time, their eyes were completely fierce. Because they completely regarded this unfreezing pool as their territory. Now that there was an enemy intruding into their territory, they naturally wanted to kill Yang Dingtian. The four snakes arrived in an instant. Yang Dingtian waved the flame feather in his hand, ready to fight. What was worse was that at this time, his body was stiff, and in the water, his speed was many times slower than before. Hiss hiss hiss. Two of the snakes suddenly shot out of the water and opened their mouths to bite Yang Dingtian's head. Swoosh swoosh. Yang Dingtian's flame feather rushed out of the water and shook wildly. Although the speed was much slower, the moves were still incomparably mysterious. Puff puff puff. Suddenly, the two snakes in the air were cut into more than a dozen pieces by Yang Dingtian. Then, his legs suddenly became numb and cold. They were bitten by the other two cold snakes. The cold poison quickly spread. In an instant, his legs were completely numb and stiff, as if they were not his own. And the two cold snakes were still biting Yang Dingtian's ankles. Their long bodies wrapped around Yang Dingtian's legs and crazily dragged them down. He must leave the pool, otherwise it would be dangerous. Yang Dingtian did not have time to take the demon nucleus of the cold snakes in the water. The flame feather in his hand suddenly pierced into the hard rock on the shore. His hands suddenly exerted force, and with a loud shout, he rushed out of the water. Bang! Yang Dingtian used all his strength to grab the flame feather with both hands. His whole body rolled, somersaulted, jumped out of the water and fell on the shore beside the pool. The water snake wrapped around his legs quickly loosened, and his body suddenly bounced, trying to escape back into the pool. The flame feather in Yang Dingtian's hand suddenly flung out, and a flame shot out. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. Suddenly, one of the snakes in the air was cut into two by the flame feather and fell to the ground. The flame feather turned in an arc in the air and flew back to Yang Dingtian's hand. Yang Dingtian quickly looked at the wound on his ankle. There were two deep holes on it, but it had completely frozen. His whole leg was blue and frozen stiff. However, Yang Dingtian had the powerful 9 Yang mystic meridians after all. After leaving the unfreezing pool, the cold poison that was rising up in his legs actually gradually went back. A warm energy gradually returned to his legs, and his legs regained their temperature and mobility inch by inch. Only 5 minutes later, a blue cold poison was forced out of his body by his profound veins. It flowed out from the wound, and Yang Dingtian's legs recovered to their original state. Yang Dingtian walked to the side of the four-legged cold snake's corpse and dug out the demon nucleus. It was a very beautiful demon nucleus. It was sparkling and translucent like an ice crystal. There were different lines drawn on it, and it looked very beautiful. The 4th demon nucleus is in my hands. There is only one left. Yang Dingtian placed the ice demon nucleus in front of his eyes, and his heart was filled with satisfaction. Although there were some unforeseen events, and even life-threatening situations, he still successfully obtained the metal and ice demon nuclei. It's time to leave. Perhaps Sister Ningning is waiting anxiously. Yang Dingtian reluctantly looked at the unfreezing pool, because there might be treasures under the pool. Right now, the most important thing is the yin-yang 5-element formation. Everything else has to be put aside. I must not cause any unnecessary trouble, Yang Dingtian said to himself. Then, he placed the ice-type demon core in the box and prepared to leave the mine. At this time, an old man's voice suddenly sounded in the cave. His throat seemed to be burned, and his voice was very harsh and uncomfortable. Little brother, I have been watching for a long time. There are a few things that are very strange. Can you help me answer them? Yang Dingtian was suddenly surprised. There was someone inside. Who? Obviously, he had been here for a long time, but Yang Dingtian never found him. Will Sister Ningning be in danger? Yang Dingtian suddenly thought of another important thing. Senior, who are you? Why don't you show yourself? Yang Dingtian tried to calm his rapid breathing and slowly asked, but the hair all over his body suddenly stood up. You are a treasure from head to toe, but you are just a martial arts beginner. When you were injured, you took a 5th grade wonder pill. Moreover, he actually used the bloody black gold to attract low-level gold-eating beasts, the ice-condensing pearl to attract low-level ice-type demonic beasts, and finally, he even used his own body to attract the cold snake, all for a mere 1st-grade demonic nucleus. The old man said, "This is too strange. Any one of your things can be exchanged for tens of thousands of demon nuclei. Why would you risk your life to get these demon nuclei? Only those that are hunted by oneself are truly yours." Yang Dingtian said. Well said. The old man said, but you are lying. I think you want to use these demon nuclei to form some kind of formation and then break through Xian Qi, right? Yang Dingtian was shocked. The pig-slaying swordsmanship was absolutely top secret. How did he know? This is not difficult to guess. There are many formations in this world that need demon nuclei, and they are the ones hunted by the caster. You are just a beginner. You can't use formations to refine souls, nor can you refine puppets. You can only break through Xian Qi on your own. The old man said, every Xian Qi devouring formation is extremely mysterious. Can you tell me? The yin-yang 5-element formation required 5 demon nuclei and a pentagram formation. These two things were not rare. What was rare was the Xian Qi circulation chant of this formation and the yin-yang festival when the 2 moons covered the 2 suns. The yin-yang festival was the creation of heaven and earth, the opportunity of the universe. Of course, it could only be encountered and not sought. Therefore, the most important thing in the yin-yang 5-element formation was the Xian Qi cultivation chant. Without the chant, this formation was useless. Senior, This is just a method that I, a beginner, am trying to break through. It is useless for an expert like you. Yang Dingtian said. I also have juniors. This kind of formation is rare, so I must know. The old man said slowly. Whoosh! Suddenly, an extremely powerful force sucked away the box in Yang Dingtian's arms. There were 3 demon nuclei in the box. 2 of them were of the gold element, and 1 was of the ice element. This was a top expert. Yang Dingtian did not have the slightest resistance when he took things from such a distance. You went through so much trouble to get these 3 demon nuclei. You even risked your life. Therefore, these 3 demon nuclei must be very important to you. The old man said slowly, so tell me the formation and chant. Otherwise, I will destroy these 3 demon nuclei. Yang Dingtian suppressed his anger and said coldly, you are a senior expert. How can you be so ungentlemanly and rob a junior? Gentlemanly? I have never been gentlemanly. The old man said slowly. Bang! Then, there was a sudden explosion on the cave wall. The thick layer of ice burst open. Then, an old man with gray hair and sloppy clothes walked out of the hole. He was a very thin old man with deep eye sockets and a crooked nose. He looked very extreme and sinister. The old man took out the ice element demon nucleus and said slowly, speak, or I will destroy it. Yang Dingtian gritted his teeth and looked at him coldly without saying a word. Puff! The old man squeezed his hand and the ice element demon nucleus suddenly burst open. Yang Dingtian's heart twitched. Then, the old man held the remaining 2 gold element demon nuclei in his hand and looked at Yang Dingtian coldly. Speak, or I will destroy these 2 demon nuclei too. Chapter 60. Senior, don't play this kind of trick, Yang Dingtian said slowly, if I don't tell you, I can still live. If I tell you, I'll die. The old man sneered, you're not stupid. Bang! Suddenly, the old man crushed the remaining 2 gold-type demon nuclei. Yang Dingtian spent a lot of effort to sneak into the territory of the Northwest Qin family and risked his life to get these 3 demon nuclei. Now, they were all destroyed by the old man. Yang Dingtian's heart was filled with endless anger. Actually, whether you tell me or not, I'll destroy your demon nuclei. The old man said, I've failed countless times in my life, so I really like to see others fail. Ha! The old man let out a strange and twisted smile. Whoosh! Then, like a ghost, the old man straightened his body and appeared in front of Yang Dingtian from 100 meters away. Flame feather. The black sky magic phoenix's feather. The old man looked at the flame feather in Yang Dingtian's hand. His eyes brightened, you actually used the feather of a divine beast of the same level as the demonic flood dragon to kill low-level demon beasts. What a waste. This treasure belongs to me. I can use it to forge my divine sword. Then, the old man took the flame feather from Yang Dingtian's hand. He held it in his hand and didn't want to put it down. He didn't have the slightest bit of shame for snatching something from a junior. Now, tell me the formula of the Qi-devouring formation. The old man said, if you don't tell me, I'll kill you. Oh, wait a moment. The old man suddenly said, there are 2 ice-type demon nuclei here. You've killed 3 cold snakes in total. Then, the old man suddenly opened his palm. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Suddenly, the bodies of the 2 cold snakes were sucked into his hand. There are probably only 3 ice-type demon beasts in the surrounding 10,000 miles. If I destroy them, you won't be able to get the ice-type demon nuclei. The old man laughed, you must think that I'll use these 2 ice-type demon nuclei to threaten you to tell me the formula, right? Yang Dingtian ignored him. Ha, I won't do that. I'll destroy your last hope right now. Then, the old man clenched his fist, and the 2 cold snakes in his hand turned into ashes along with their demon cores. It feels so good to be in despair. The old man closed his eyes and said, "Why am I the only one who keeps failing? When I'm disappointed, I want others to be in despair." Ha! Then, the old man laughed maniacally. After laughing, he directly took Yang Dingtian's bloody black gold. He weighed it in his hand and said, "Although there is only one piece, it is better than nothing. I am one step closer to my sword soul. Alright, tell me the incantation and the formation." "Otherwise, you will die without a doubt," the old man said calmly. "Yang Dingtian, will I not die if I tell you the incantation and the formation?" "You'll die too, but you'll die more comfortably." The old man said, "If you don't say it, you will die very miserably. For example, I will castrate you first so that you can't be a man. How about it? Suffer." Yang Dingtian didn't doubt that he would do that. The old man in front of him was a pervert, a twisted pervert. Seeing that Yang Dingtian didn't say anything, the flaming feather in the old man's hand slowly approached Yang Dingtian's crotch. He let out a sinister smile. "If I'm not wrong, you are Horror Mountain Village's Zhao Wuji," Yang Dingtian suddenly said. The old man was slightly stunned and said coldly, "How did you know? I haven't been in this world for many years." How did Yang Dingtian know? Of course, it was Dongfang Minmi who told him in his mind. The Horror Mountain Village was once considered an overlord. It was both good and evil. Wasn't it among the famous sects in the world? Its power wasn't small, but when it came to Zhao Wuji's generation, in order to fight for the position of the village head, Zhao Wuji seduced outside enemies and killed all the experts in the village who opposed him. Later on, when faced with Cloud Sky City suppression, he had no choice but to sell himself to the Northwest Qin family, causing the Horror Mountain Village to become a vassal of the Northwest Qin family. However, since he failed to cultivate the sword's soul more than 10 years ago, he had almost disappeared from this world. He didn't expect to appear here. "You're actually not interested in my formation and incantation because it's not very useful to you. You forced me to say it just to torture me," Yang Dingtian said. "Even if I tell you the incantation and formation, you will still castrate me and torture me." The old man was slightly stunned, then he laughed and said, "It seems like you know me very well, so just accept your fate." "Who asked you to meet me here?" Yang Dingtian continued, "The reason why you're so abnormal is because you've failed to cultivate the sword's soul countless times. Many of your sword's soul treasured swords have been destroyed, and one of them even had flame vein essence." The old man's expression changed, then he laughed coldly, revealing his dense teeth and said, "What else do you know? Speak." "The reason why you're here is because under the unfreezing pool, there might be a bloody black gold mine. There might be dozens of pieces of bloody black gold. You want to obtain these bloody black gold to refine your sword's soul treasured swords," Yang Dingtian said. The old man began to look at Yang Dingtian. "How do you know that there might be a bloody black gold mine here? Which beast speaker told you?" "That's not important, Mr. Zhao Wuji." Yang Dingtian said, "The key is that you can't find the entrance to the mine. You know that the entrance is under the unfreezing pool, but even if you're an 8-star revered martial artist, you won't be able to stay in there for long. Although your cultivation is very strong, your yang profound veins haven't reached the 8th grade, so it's very difficult for you to resist the cold of the unfreezing pool." Zhao Wuji stared coldly at Yang Dingtian. "Are you saying this to anger me and make me torture you even more cruelly?" "Of course not." Yang Dingtian said, "I'm doing this to survive. You can't find the entrance to the mine, but I might be able to help you find it." "You? An enlightener?" Zhao Wuji said disdainfully. "That's right, I'm an enlightener." Yang Dingtian said, "Because my yang profound veins are at least 5 or 6 levels higher than yours." Ridiculous. Zhao Wuji laughed. "This world hasn't had a 9th grade profound veins cultivator for hundreds of years. Who do you think you are?" Yang Dingtian laughed disdainfully and directly jumped into the unfreezing pool. He resisted the cold and said, "Facts speak louder than words. The power of talent sometimes surpasses dozens of years of bitter training. I have the most outstanding talent in this world. Looking at young Dingtian swimming in the unfreezing pool, Zhao Wuji's eyes flashed with incomparable shock and jealousy. He laughed coldly and said, "So what? You'll be so kind as to help me find the bloody black gold. You clearly know that once I find it, I'll definitely kill you. We'll talk about it when the time comes. Every moment counts." Yang Dingtian said indifferently, "I'm going to find the entrance. Are you coming?" After saying this, Yang Dingtian swam towards the depths of the unfreezing pool. Zhao Wuji's expression changed a few times, and he also jumped into the unfreezing pool. Yang Dingtian endured the extreme cold and continued to swim towards the bottom. The deeper he swam, the deeper he got. The deeper he went, the colder the temperature became. Originally, Yang Dingtian could hold on for about a quarter of an hour on the surface of the water. However, at this time, Yang Dingtian really couldn't withstand the cold here. His 9 yang profound veins desperately released energy to resist the cold, but the heat was getting weaker and weaker. Yang Dingtian's body was getting colder and colder, and his body was getting weaker and weaker. Zhao Wuji followed closely behind Yang Dingtian. He had almost reached his limit. Although his profound qi cultivation was countless times higher than Yang Dingtian, his profound veins were much weaker than Yang Dingtian. Therefore, his resistance to the cold in the unfreezing pool was about the same as Yang Dingtian. He had already dived 20 meters. 30 meters. 40 meters. 50 meters. 80 meters. Here, it should be more than 100 degrees below zero. It was a low temperature that Yang Dingtian had never experienced before. Yang Dingtian really couldn't withstand it. His whole body was completely stiff and numb. He could no longer feel his limbs. Even his heartbeat was getting slower and slower. At this time, his life was in danger, but he still couldn't see the bottom of the unfreezing pool. At this time, Yang Dingtian should return to the surface of the water. Otherwise, he would really freeze to death here. However, if he returned to the surface, Zhao Wuji would feel that Yang Dingtian was useless and would torture him to death. "I'll fight to the end." Yang Dingtian gritted his teeth, closed his eyes, and dived down crazily. Zhao Wuji had already reached his limit. When he saw Yang Dingtian diving down crazily, he was shocked. Did this unlucky enlightener not want to live anymore? He was afraid that Yang Dingtian would escape, so he wanted to chase after him. However, he had already reached his limit. At this time, the cold pool water had completely sealed his profound qi. His limbs were already numb, and his heartbeat had slowed down. If he didn't return to the surface, he would die in the water. Zhao Wuji had been cultivating his sword soul for decades. He had failed repeatedly, causing him to be completely crazy and twisted. He had abandoned martial arts for more than 10 years and devoted himself to the cultivation of his sword soul. Ever since he heard from a beast speaker about the unfreezing water gushing out of the abandoned mine, he had been here for a month to find the possible bloody black gold vein under the unfreezing pool. During this month, he had already dived more than 10 times. It wasn't that he couldn't find the entrance, because there was only one entrance. He just had to keep diving down. The deeper he went, the narrower it became. The entire unfreezing pool was in the shape of a funnel. The reason why he had failed repeatedly was that he could only dive about 80 meters at most. If he went any deeper, he would probably die in the water. He had thought of countless methods, consumed countless pills, and wore countless pieces of equipment, but the deepest he could go was 80 meters. According to his estimation, the unfreezing pool was about 200 meters deep. He hadn't even dived half of the way. Looking at Yang Dingtian, who was diving deeper and deeper, and seeing that the surface of his body had already turned blue, Zhao Wuji gave up the idea of chasing after him. He had a lot of time, and he didn't want to be forced to freeze to death in the unfreezing water. Go, you're lucky. Being frozen to death is much better than being tortured to death by me. At least you'll have a whole corpse. Zhao Wuji thought to himself. Then, he turned around and desperately floated up. Yang Dingtian dived deeper and deeper. 85 meters. 90 meters. He couldn't feel his body anymore. Even if he wanted to give up, there was no chance for him to float up. At this time, the surrounding area of the pool was only half of the top. The lower he went, the narrower it became. Therefore, he estimated that the entire pool was about 200 meters deep. At this time, it was less than half, but Yang Dingtian could only hold on for a dozen more meters at most. 95 meters. Yang Dingtian's soul had been frozen. He didn't even know what the temperature was here. Was it below 150 degrees Celsius? 99 meters. Yang Dingtian had already lost all of his consciousness. Bang! Using the last of his willpower, the last of his spirit, he slammed forward as if he had broken something. Then, Yang Dingtian's body flipped over in the water and quickly floated up. His body, which had been completely frozen, gradually regained its warmth. Without any paddling, his body continued to float up. The surrounding water temperature was getting higher and higher. In the end, Yang Dingtian completely regained consciousness. He felt that the area of the surrounding water was getting bigger and bigger. He was getting closer and closer to the surface, and the light was getting brighter and brighter. Pooh! Yang Dingtian suddenly rushed out of the water. Chapter 61. Puff. Yang Dingtian suddenly rushed out of the water. So warm, the water here. Of course, this was only Yang Dingtian's feeling. The water here was actually still around -10 degrees, but this temperature was already enough to make Yang Dingtian feel warm. The moment he rushed out of the water, Yang Dingtian's eyes suddenly lit up. He was deep in a pool. The area was the same as the unfreezing pool in the abandoned mine. The pool was also in a huge cave, covered with a layer of ice, crystal clear like a crystal palace. There was a hole in the wall of the cave, and behind the hole was a passage. The passage was covered with all kinds of crystals, red, purple, and dazzling, bright and beautiful. The structure here was almost exactly the same as the big cave in the depths of the abandoned mine. Yang Dingtian was relaxed and happy, but he suddenly felt a strange feeling, but he did not know where this strange feeling came from. Climbing out of the water and walking on the ice, Yang Dingtian knew why he felt so strange. He jumped into the unfreezing pool and dived down, but after diving 100 meters, the temperature of the water rose, and he quickly floated up. He should have fallen down. When Yang Dingtian looked at the tranquil surface of the pool and this giant cave, he understood something. This place was actually anti-gravity. This was under the abandoned mine. Yang Dingtian dived 200 meters into the unfreezing pool and rushed out of the water to reach this place. According to the position, the water was actually upside down in the air, and Yang Dingtian was standing on the top of the cave, but he did not fall down. It turned out that the unfreezing pool was not in the shape of a hole, but in the shape of an hourglass. As long as one dived 100 meters into the middle, one would enter the anti-gravity field, and then quickly float up. Yang Dingtian gritted his teeth and fought with his life. Not only did he survive, but he also came to this wonderful place. Bloody black gold. Yang Dingtian immediately thought of this thing. Where there was unfreezing water, there would be a large number of fire-type mineral veins. Zhao Wuji came here for the bloody black gold. Yang Dingtian immediately searched everywhere for bloody black gold. Soon, Yang Dingtian found the first piece of bloody black gold. It was at the entrance of the cave. There was a fiery red bloody black gold in a pile of crystals. Yang Dingtian climbed up the wall of the cave, entered the cave, and walked into the 2-meter-high tunnel. Master, this piece of bloody black gold is different from the one we got in the Red Wilderness. Yang Dingtian said, the bloody black gold here is redder, as red as blood. Dongfang Minmi seemed to be a little stunned. After a long time, he sighed and said, it's really a blessing in disguise. This is the best bloody black gold. It has been condensed for at least 10,000 years. It's 10 times purer than the bloody black gold I used to forge the sword. Child, were you really sent by the heavens? Dongfang Minmi sighed, otherwise, why would this bloody black gold that has been condensed for 10,000 years appear in front of you? Yang Dingtian also trembled with excitement. Master, should I dig it out? Well, dig carefully. Dongfang Minmi said. Yang Dingtian took out a dagger and grabbed the bloody black gold with one hand. Regardless of the heat, he carefully dug out the whole bloody black gold. He clearly felt that when the bloody black gold left the crystal wall, there was something like a soul trembling, as if it was reluctant to part with it, but also cheering. Reluctant because the crystal wall bred them, cheering because they could finally leave and explore the world. Master, it's strange. I feel that this bloody black gold seems to have a life. Yang Dingtian said. It's not life, it's spirituality. Dongfang Minmi said, treasures that have been around for 10,000 years must have spirituality. Forging a sword with this kind of bloody black gold is really good for the cultivation of the sword's soul. I really can't imagine how amazing your sword will be. Yang Dingtian reluctantly put the bloody black gold into a special bag and continued to move forward. Master, I hope that there is more than one bloody black gold in this vein. Yang Dingtian said. No, since it created an anti-gravity field and an unfreezing pool, there will be more than one. It will be a very large vein, maybe dozens of them. Dongfang Minmi said, you continue to go inside. Yang Dingtian continued to walk inside. This place was filled with red and purple crystals. The passageway wasn't artificially excavated but was formed by natural cracks. Master, are these crystals useful? Yang Dingtian asked. This is the best quality fire crystal. One crystal is worth at least a few thousand gold coins. Dongfang Minmi said, but it's not very useful to you. When you leave, you can pick one or two and make an accessory for Yan Yan. Yang Dingtian walked more than 10 meters, searching for the next bloody black gold. Sure enough, there were two more, one on the left and one on the right of the cave wall. Yang Dingtian was excited. He stepped forward and dug out the two pieces of 10,000 years old bloody black gold and put them in a special bag. Next, Yang Dingtian walked dozens of meters forward. At a corner, there were 5 pieces of bloody black gold. Yang Dingtian continued to walk in. The deeper he went, the higher the temperature, and finally, it was like being roasted by a fire. This natural mine was really deep. Yang Dingtian had walked more than 2,000 meters and had dug out 32 pieces of bloody black gold. Although he could still carry the weight of a few hundred kilograms, his speed had slowed down. But gradually, the number of bloody black gold became less and less. From one for dozens of meters, to one for hundreds of meters, and finally one for thousands of meters. At this time, Yang Dingtian had gone more than 5,000 meters and dug out 45 pieces of bloody black gold. Yang Dingtian had to drag it forward. In the last 1,500 meters, there was not a single piece of bloody black gold. The temperature in the cave was more than 100 degrees. If Yang Dingtian had not gone through 3 layers of marrow cleansing, he would have died. Master, it seems that the end is in front. There should be no more bloody black gold. Yang Dingtian said. Dongfang Minmi said, maybe there is no more. Generally, the number of bloody black gold in a mine is a multiple of 9. 45 pieces of 10,000 years old bloody black gold is already an extremely huge mine. Then I'll go back. Yang Dingtian said, it's a pity that there are no gold-eating beasts or ice-type beasts here. Otherwise, the 2 demon cores destroyed by Zhao Wuji could be replenished. Thinking of this, Yang Dingtian's excitement suddenly lessened a lot. Getting 45 pieces of 10,000 years old bloody black gold was exciting, but the main purpose of these years was to hunt for demon cores. Now that there were no demon cores, especially ice-type demon cores, he could not carry out the yin-yang 5-element formation 7 days later, and his Xian Qi could not break through. There was also a huge problem. How should he go back? Of course, he could go back along the unfreezing pool, but how could he bring back 900 kilograms of bloody black gold? And Zhao Wuji was guarding there, so he could not get out of the mine. Also, it had been about 5 hours since he entered the abandoned mine. The sun outside was about to set, and it was almost time for Ningning's appointment. If he did not go out to meet her soon, he was afraid that she would enter the mine to find him. That would not be good. It was likely that she would fall into the hands of Zhao Wuji. What is at the end of this crystal mine? Is there another exit? Yang Dingtian looked at the end of the crystal mine in front of him and thought. Yang Dingtian hesitated whether to continue walking until he reached the end of the crystal mine, but the temperature in front of him was getting higher and higher, to the point where it was completely unbearable. Let's try it. If there is another exit, I can avoid Zhao Wuji, and I can also prevent Ningning from entering the mine and meeting Zhao Wuji. Yang Dingtian thought in his heart, and then suddenly gritted his teeth and continued to walk, even though there was no more bloody black gold in front of him. Every meter that followed was extremely unbearable, as if he was walking in a furnace. If Ningning had not applied a layer of potion to Yang Dingtian's hair in advance, his hair would have been burnt. 10 meters. 20 meters. 30 meters. Finally, Yang Dingtian walked to the end of the crystal mine. After walking past the corner in front, it was the end, because there was an incomparably bright light and an incomparably hot breath. Yang Dingtian's whole body was almost dehydrated at this time, and his lips were dry like firewood. He gritted his teeth and walked the last few meters. After passing the corner and walking to the end of the crystal mine, he was completely stunned. There was no exit here, only an incomparably huge cave, and the bottom of the cave was boiling magma. However, this wasn't what shocked Yang Dingtian. What shocked him was that the surrounding cave walls were filled with bloody black gold. They were densely packed and looked like countless gorgeous fireballs growing on the black stone walls. It was a spectacular and beautiful sight. Yang Dingtian was stunned, and so was Dongfang Minmi. Oh my god! Dongfang Minmi muttered to himself, there is actually such a large bloody black gold vein in the world. The largest vein I have seen in my life was only a little more than 100. In the history of this world, the largest bloody black gold vein was only 198. How many are there here? Yang Dingtian was also completely stunned. After being shocked for more than 10 minutes, Yang Dingtian began to count the number of bloody black gold here. There were simply too many of them, and it was extremely dazzling. Yang Dingtian looked at them over and over again. In the end, the number was 954 here, plus the one in Yang Dingtian's hand, a total of 999, which was the largest bloody black gold vein in recorded history. Yang Dingtian was instantly shocked by incomparable happiness. He wanted to forge a peerless treasure sword, which required 999 pieces of bloody black gold. Dongfang Minmi planned to spend a few years to find 999 pieces of bloody black gold, and now there were 999 pieces, which meant that he had the materials for a peerless treasure sword, and the only thing left was to forge it himself. Moreover, 999 pieces of 10,000 years old bloody black gold were 10 times more than ordinary bloody black gold. Therefore, the sword forged with 999 pieces of 10,000 years old bloody black gold would not only be a peerless treasure sword, but also an emperor treasure sword that had never been seen before in history. Chapter 62. However, after the happiness, he had to start thinking about reality. It was not an easy task to pick these 900 pieces of bloody black gold. They were all growing on the walls of the cave. The walls were high and steep, and there was no place to stand on. Moreover, there was terrifying lava below. If one fell into it, they would die without a doubt. Moreover, it would take at least a few days and nights to pick these 900 pieces of bloody black gold. At that time, Ningning might not be able to wait and go to the mine to find Yang Dingtian. Then, it would fall into Zhao Wuji's hands. Suddenly, Yang Dingtian calmed down. At this time, the closest piece of bloody black gold was only 2 feet high. Yang Dingtian could not help but reach out to touch it. Be careful, don't touch it, Dongfang Minmi suddenly shouted. Yang Dingtian's movement suddenly stopped. Dongfang Minmi said, look below, inside the magma. Yang Dingtian immediately looked down and only saw a pair of eyes floating in the hot magma, looking at Yang Dingtian indifferently. An incomparably huge monster was swimming in the magma. It was not clear how big it was, but the terrifying head was as big as a table. It was obvious how big its body was. Don't touch these pieces of bloody black gold. This is its territory. It treats the bloody black gold as its own property. If you touch it, you will be killed immediately, Dongfang Minmi said. Master, what monster is this? Yang Dingtian asked. Lord of the Abyss. Dongfang Minmi said, I should have thought of it. 999 pieces of bloody black gold are the most precious treasures in the world. How can there not be a powerful monster guarding it? Is it very strong? Yang Dingtian asked. Extremely strong, Dongfang Minmi said. Yang Dingtian looked at the bloody black gold unwillingly and glanced at the Lord of the Abyss in the magma. It's only a matter of time before the child is yours. Dongfang Minmi said, even if you take away all 999 pieces of bloody black gold, it's useless because you can't forge without the heaven and earth obsidian flame. Not only is this bloody black gold useless to you, but it will also bring you a fatal disaster. This is a true treasure of heaven and earth. Anyone who knows about it will be greedy. Master, when can I have the heaven and earth obsidian flame? Yang Dingtian asked. At least wait until you become a martial profound realm expert. At that time, you can go find a profound flame and refine it into the heart flame of your Qi Si. Once you refine the heart flame, your profound Qi will have a qualitative leap. Dongfang Minmi said, every expert has to refine the heart fire. Not only does it have to be used to forge weapons, it also has to be used to refine medicine. More importantly, all profound skills have to be activated by the heart fire. Even every time you cleanse your marrow and meridians, you have to use the heart fire. The heart fire is so important. Yang Dingtian said. Of course, the heart fire is as important as the martial skill. Without the heart fire, there is no profound skill. For a martial artist, the presence of the heart fire is a sign to judge whether a martial artist is strong or weak. Dongfang Minmi said, there are 2 times when a martial artist can level up quickly. The first time is when they first cultivate a secret manual. They can instantly level up by 2 or 3 levels. The second time is to refine the heart fire. Once they refine the heart fire, their profound Qi level will also have a strong breakthrough and upgrade. Even if it's for the 10,000-year-old bloody black gold in front of me, I have to use the fastest speed to cultivate to the martial profound realm. Yang Dingtian said. Master believes that you can do it. Dongfang Minmi said, and for others, only a good profound flame is enough. But for you, you have to find a heaven and earth profound flame. Because if you want to completely melt the 10,000-year-old bloody black gold, you have to use a heaven and earth profound flame. So before you have a heaven and earth profound flame, even if you have 10,000-year-old bloody black gold, you can't forge a peerless soul sword. Dongfang Minmi said, so, leaving the bloody black gold here is the best choice for you. Won't the bloody black gold be eaten by the Lord of the Abyss? Yang Dingtian asked. No, the Lord of the Abyss is not a gold-eating beast. It lives by absorbing the energy of the magma. Dongfang Minmi said, it's still the same words. What is yours will always be yours. Before you refine the heaven and earth profound flame, leave the bloody black gold here. Then, what level do I have to reach before I can kill this Lord of the Abyss and take the bloody black gold? Yang Dingtian asked. Within 2 years, you have to break through to the 9-star martial mystic level expert and have a heaven and earth profound flame. Then, I will have a way for you to kill this Lord of the Abyss. Dongfang Minmi said, the key is to have a heaven and earth profound flame. Otherwise, even if you reach the supreme power realm, you may not be able to kill this Lord of the Abyss. This demonic beast should be the overlord within 1,000 miles. I understand, Master. Yang Dingtian turned around resolutely and said, moreover, the most important thing for me now is the yin-yang 5-element formation in 4 days. If I miss the yin-yang day that occurs once every 300 years, my chi will have no hope of breaking through. Even if I get 999 bloody black gold, it will be meaningless. So, what I need most now is the remaining 3 demonic nuclei. That's right. Dongfang Minmi said, I'm very happy that you have such a clear mind. Yang Dingtian immediately decided to leave here. When he became a martial mystic level expert and had a heaven and earth profound flame, he would come here to collect the bloody black gold that belonged to him. The most important thing now was to hunt for the gold type, ice type, and electric type demonic nuclei. All the ice type demonic nuclei here were destroyed by Zhao Wuji. Even the corpses of the 2 cold snakes were destroyed. However, there was still 1 cold snake left. It escaped from Yang Dingtian's massacre and fled to the depths of the unfreezing pool. As long as he could find it and get its demonic nucleus, Yang Dingtian's mission for today would be completed. After all, there were many gold-eating beasts on this continent. There were some in the Red Wilderness, but they were a little dangerous. The key was the ice-type demonic nucleus. Whether it was hunting for the remaining ice-type demonic nucleus, wanting to leave here, or preventing Ningning from falling into danger, there was one person that he could not avoid. That was the abnormal and bloodthirsty Zhao Wuji. He guarded by the unfreezing pool, so Yang Dingtian could not hide from him. He was a martial venerable level expert. Even if he and Ningning worked together, they would not be able to defeat one of his fingers. This twisted and abnormal Zhao Wuji snatched all of Yang Dingtian's things and destroyed the demonic nuclei that he risked his life to obtain. He wanted to torture and kill him. And the key was that he knew that there was bloody black gold here. 999 pieces of 10,000-year-old bloody black gold represented Yang Dingtian's peerless treasure sword in the future. It was the biggest guarantee that Yang Dingtian could cultivate a powerful sword soul. It was the biggest guarantee that Yang Dingtian would defeat Dongfang Bingling 5 years later. This secret could not be known by a second person. Therefore, Zhao Wuji had to die. No matter what, he had to die. If he did not die, Yang Dingtian and Ningning would die. Moreover, they would die very miserably. Master, I want to kill Zhao Wuji, but it will be very risky. Yang Dingtian said. Dongfang Minmi said slowly, do it. Today, either he dies or you die. Yang Dingtian clenched his fists and left the crystal mine with 49 pieces of bloody black gold on his back. He quickly ran a few thousand meters and came to the other side of the unfreezing pool covered by ice. Hiding the bag of bloody black gold, Yang Dingtian took out 3 pieces of bloody black gold and jumped into the unfreezing pool. He kept diving down. This time, his diving speed was faster because he had 3 pieces of 10,000-year-old bloody black gold, which weighed more than 50 kilograms. Moreover, this time, it was not as cold as last time because the bloody black gold was constantly releasing strong heat. He dived down 80 meters. He dived down 90 meters. 98 meters, Yang Dingtian's whole body was still frozen, but at least he still had divine sense. It was not like last time when even his soul seemed to be frozen. Before he fainted, he rushed forward one last time and rushed through the middle of 100 meters. Suddenly, Yang Dingtian turned over in the water and entered another gravitational field, and then began to float up. However, with 3 pieces of bloody black gold, he floated up slowly and he still needed to desperately paddle up. However, the water was getting hotter and hotter, so he would not be frozen to death. Poof! Yang Dingtian rushed out of the water. Then, his whole body was completely out of control and was sucked in by an incomparably powerful force. It was Zhao Wuji who directly sucked him in with his qi. Zhao Wuji on the shore grabbed Yang Dingtian's neck tightly and looked at him in disbelief. You're not dead. You're not dead. How can you not be dead? Yang Dingtian said, Senior, I'm not dead. There is really bloody black gold below. I found the entrance. As long as you dive down 100 meters, you will find the entrance. There is really a bloody black gold vein below. Zhao Wuji's palm tightened, and Yang Dingtian's neck felt a sharp pain and was about to be broken. There really is bloody black gold. Zhao Wuji trembled and said, "If you dare to lie to me, do you know how miserable the consequences will be? Senior, let me go. I'll show it to you." Yang Dingtian said. Zhao Wuji immediately threw Yang Dingtian to the ground. Yang Dingtian took out a piece of 10,000-year-old bloody black gold from his bosom and handed it to Zhao Wuji. Zhao Wuji was stunned. His whole face seemed to have been struck by lightning as he looked at this piece of bloody black gold in disbelief. 10,000-year-old bloody black gold. 10,000-year-old bloody black gold. Zhao Wuji trembled and said, "The best I've seen before was only 100-year-old bloody black gold. God, you made me fail 9 times before because those bloody black gold were too weak. Is it so that I can get this 10,000-year-old bloody black gold today? I understand, I understand." Ha! Zhao Wuji laughed and waved his hands. Incomparably powerful Xian Qi energy burst out and the entire cave shook. The walls of the cave cracked and huge rocks fell one after another, ruthlessly smashing into the ground. The entire huge cave seemed to be about to collapse. A martial saint-level expert was really incomparably powerful. Yang Dingtian stared at Zhao Wuji, who was about to go crazy. Today, Zhao Wuji must die. Otherwise, he, Yang Dingtian, will die. That's right, this idea was very crazy. Yang Dingtian was only an initiate and Zhao Wuji was a martial saint-level expert. In terms of strength, 10,000 Yang Dingtian were not his match. "Senior, I have an idea," Yang Dingtian said to Zhao Wuji with a gentle smile on his face. Chapter 63. How many pieces of bloody black gold are there? Zhao Wuji asked. Are there 99 of them? 108. I've counted them many, many times. Yang Dingtian said, but most of them grow on the cliffs and there's boiling magma below. I spent a lot of effort and only got 3. I almost fell down and burned to death. Yang Dingtian took out the remaining 2 pieces of 10,000-year-old bloody black gold. Zhao Wuji didn't have any doubts and said, "What do you think?" "Tell me." "Senior, this is 10,000-year-old bloody black gold. 1 is more than 10 other pieces. Therefore, 99 pieces of bloody black gold is enough to forge the most powerful sword." Yang Dingtian looked at Zhao Wuji and said, "Then, the remaining 9 are useless to you. Can you give them to me? Only I know the way. I'll take you there. 108 pieces of bloody black gold. You get 99 and I'll take 9, okay?" Zhao Wuji looked at him coldly and said, "Do you think you have the right to bargain? You said to dive 100 meters. Do you think I don't know how to get there? Without me leading the way, you won't be able to find the bloody black gold. If you don't believe me, you can try." Yang Dingtian said, "I only want 9. Anyway, these 9 are useless to you. Either you agree or you kill me." Zhao Wuji slowly raised his palm. His eyes were cruel. He wanted to kill Yang Dingtian with 1 palm. Treasures are really tempting. You're not even afraid of death. Zhao Wuji sneered. Then he put down his palm and said, "You lead the way. I'll give you 9. It's a deal." "Make an oath," Yang Dingtian said. Zhao Wuji was furious. He gritted his teeth and said, "In a while, I'll give this little brother 9 pieces of 10,000-year-old bloody black gold. Otherwise, I'll be destroyed by the heavens." "Okay, I'll take you there," Yang Dingtian said excitedly. Then he jumped into the unfreezing pool and dived down. "Idiot, as long as I find the bloody black gold mine, I will immediately tear you to pieces." Zhao Wuji looked at Yang Dingtian's back and said coldly. Then, he jumped into the unfreezing pool. He dived down to 80 meters. 90 meters. 95 meters. This was a depth that Zhao Wuji had never reached before. At this moment, Yang Dingtian's entire body was stiff, while Zhao Wuji's limbs were stiff. After all, he was a martial venerable. His ability to withstand the cold was stronger than Yang Dingtian's. However, he cherished his life more. He had always thought that the pool was 200 meters deep. 80 meters was not even half of it. If he went any deeper, he would not be able to reach the bottom even if he froze to death. This brat can't be trying to freeze me to death here, right? Zhao Wuji was shocked. He immediately wanted to kill Yang Dingtian in the water with a palm strike. Yang Dingtian, who was in front, suddenly rushed forward. He rushed over 100 meters, then rolled in the water and began to float up. Zhao Wuji also suddenly rushed forward, and then strangely found that he had turned around, and then began to float up. This place was actually an anti-gravity field. Zhao Wuji was surprised and happy. An anti-gravity field could only be formed between two huge forces that completely repelled each other. This meant that there really was a huge bloody black gold vein under the pool. This meant that Yang Dingtian did not lie to him. Pooh! Suddenly, the two of them floated up to the surface. On the other side of the unfreezing pool. Looking at the huge cave and feeling the anti-gravity field, Zhao Wuji was really amazed. Then, he said to Yang Dingtian, "Lead the way." "Okay, follow me." Yang Dingtian went ashore, then climbed up the crystal cave on the wall and walked inside. Zhao Wuji followed closely behind. Following the crystal tunnel, Yang Dingtian went deeper and deeper. The deeper he went, the higher the temperature around him became. The ice in Yang Dingtian's hand had completely melted. This time, he learned his lesson and ate a stomach full of ice water. Otherwise, he would be dehydrated. After walking for 2,000 meters, 3,000 meters, 4,000 meters, Zhao Wuji became more and more impatient. "Why aren't we there yet? How far is it?" "Almost there, almost there." Yang Dingtian continued to walk inside. "If you dare to lie to me, I promise to let you taste all the pain in this world before you die," Zhao Wuji said coldly. "There is still 1 kilometer left." Yang Dingtian spoke resolutely and decisively before continuing to walk forward. The further they went, the higher the temperature became. Zhao Wuji's hair and eyebrows started to curl. He rubbed his palms and immediately shaved his hair and eyebrows clean, leaving behind a bald head. "Kid, I'll let you live a little longer. As long as I find the bloody black gold, I'll definitely let you die," Zhao Wuji said angrily in his heart. After walking for another 1,000 meters, the heat was almost unbearable. Yang Dingtian stood at the last corner and said, "Senior, it's here. I can't go any further, or I'll be burned alive." At this moment, Yang Dingtian's voice was completely hoarse and his throat was completely dry. This was the end of the crystal mine, and they could already see the extremely bright light. Zhao Wuji's eyes lit up, and his heart was beating wildly. He walked forward step by step, but his footsteps slowed down because he was really worried that Yang Dingtian was lying to him. He couldn't take another setback. Zhao Wuji walked past the last corner, and his eyes suddenly lit up. He was stunned, he was shocked. He was so ecstatic that he almost went crazy. He was stunned by everything in front of him. The huge cave was inlaid with countless pieces of 10,000-year-old bloody black gold. Although he didn't know how many there were, it was definitely more than the 108 that Yang Dingtian said. But at this moment, he couldn't care less. Who would care about too many treasures? "It's all mine, all mine." Zhao Wuji muttered to himself, "This bloody black gold is all mine, my peerless soul sword, my emperor's soul sword. The number 1 in the world is mine. Cloud Heaven City, I will kill every single one of you. Northwest Qin clan, I'm going to wipe you all out. Yang Peipei, I'll make you my female slave. I'll become the overlord of this world. Ha ha ha, idiot, your mission is complete. You can die now, Zhao Wuji sneered. Zhao Wuji laughed coldly. Then, he raised his hand to kill Yang Dingtian. However, he found that Yang Dingtian was no longer by his side. Yang Dingtian had sneaked away while he was in ecstasy. Where can a piece of trash at the enlightenment level escape to? Zhao Wuji turned around to chase after Yang Dingtian. He was still very cunning. He didn't want to collect the bloody black gold, but he wanted to kill Yang Dingtian first. However, he saw a beautiful piece of 10,000-year-old bloody black gold about a foot to his left. Don't you want the bloody black gold? I'll stuff this piece of bloody black gold into your stomach and let you eat until you die. Zhao Wuji sneered, then reached out to grab the piece of bloody black gold and wanted to break it off. As soon as his hand touched the bloody black gold, suddenly, the entire cave surged with an incomparably powerful energy. Roar! In the depths of the magma, there was a sudden roar. An incomparably huge monster suddenly stood up from the abyss. The 8-headed, 16-armed Lord of the Abyss was 100 meters tall when it stood up. Zhao Wuji was stunned. He was completely stunned. Little bastard, you set me up. Zhao Wuji roared, then fled frantically. Bang! The Lord of the Abyss's flame whip suddenly lashed out. The 100-meter-long flame whip was like lightning, slamming into Zhao Wuji's back. Ah! With a scream, blood spurted out. Zhao Wuji was sent flying dozens of meters away. His entire body was directly split into two. Below his chest, he was cut open by the flame whip. Boom! The hard crystal cave suddenly collapsed dozens of meters. A huge crystal boulder slammed into Zhao Wuji's body, burying both parts of his body. The Lord of the Abyss snorted disdainfully. Its incomparably huge body dived back into the magma of the abyss, leaving only two eyes floating above the magma. Yang Dingtian, who was hiding in the distance, was completely stunned. A martial venerable expert was very powerful in the entire world. However, in front of the Lord of the Abyss, he had no power to fight back. A whip cut him in two. How powerful was this Lord of the Abyss? Master, this Lord of the Abyss is so powerful. When I reach the martial mystic realm, can I kill it? Yang Dingtian asked in disbelief. As long as I have the heaven and earth obsidian flame, I have a way to kill it and refine it. It will be used as a spirit to feed your soul sword, allowing your sword's soul to progress quickly, Dongfang Minmi said. At this moment, Zhao Wuji was still alive. His eyes were filled with endless hatred and unwillingness. He looked at Yang Dingtian and said coldly, "You tricked me." Yang Dingtian looked at him and said coldly, "That's right. You must die. I'll kill you. I'll tear you into pieces." Zhao Wuji roared. His hands danced wildly, wanting to rush out like a malicious spirit. However, as long as he moved, he would vomit blood. His chest had been cut in half, and he had long lost his qi. He was completely powerless and would not live for more than 5 minutes. Yang Dingtian only looked at him coldly while the corner of his mouth was filled with ridicule. "I never thought that a hero like me would die in your hands." After Zhao Wuji danced wildly for a while, he could not even vomit blood. His time was up. "You want to take all of the bloody black gold. This secret cannot be known by a second person, so you want to kill me?" Zhao Wuji said. "That's right. I want all of the 999 bloody black gold." Yang Dingtian said, "Today, either you die or I die. Heaven's will, everything is heaven's will." Zhao Wuji said dejectedly. Then, he calmed down. The entire space was filled with the sound of blood flowing out. Zhao Wuji's life force slowly disappeared. "I have killed many people in my life. I am vicious and despicable. It is only right that I end up like this." Suddenly, Zhao Wuji said slowly. His voice became really weak. A person's words are kind when he is about to die. "Kid, You and I are fated. Can you tell me your name? Yang Dingtian. Cloud Heaven City's new city lord. Dongfang Minmi's disciple. So it is you. No wonder, no wonder. Zhao Wuji was shocked. Following which, Zhao Wuji said, Yang Dingtian, can you help me? Speak. Yang Dingtian said. 300 miles southwest of here is my horror mountain village. Zhao Wuji said, I have an only son. 4 years ago, he was injured by someone and was poisoned. His cultivation was crippled and he was unable to recover. If I am not in this world, he will not be able to protect himself. Help me send a message. Tell him to leave the mountain village immediately and go to an ordinary mountain village to live a normal life. Let others fight for the position of the village lord. Also, in 4 days, the calamity will come. When that time comes, the entire mountain village will be destroyed. In 4 days, won't the 2 moons cover the 2 suns? Although some things will happen, there might not be a calamity, right? Yang Dingtian said. Zhao Wuji said, for other families, there might not be a calamity. However, in the depths of my horror mountain village's prison, there is a millennium owl. During the Yin Yang festival, its energy will explode and break the seal. When that time comes, the area within 100 miles of the horror mountain village will be completely destroyed by it. Before Zhao Wuji could finish, Yang Dingtian's heart skipped a beat. He trembled as he asked, Master, is the millennium owl a lightning-type beast? Is it a rare lightning-type beast? Chapter 64. That's right. It's a monster that was born at the intersection of the dark crevice and the abyss magma after being struck by thousands of lightning bolts. It's an extremely rare lightning-type monster in this world. I've only heard of it, but I've never seen it before, Dongfang Minmi said. Yang Dingtian's heart was instantly shocked. The Yin-Yang 5-element formation required a lightning-type monster core. Whether it was Dongfang Minmi or Shimen Ningning, they didn't know where to find a lightning-type monster. They didn't expect that there would be one under Horror Mountain Village. Lightning-type monsters were extremely rare in the entire world. The environment in which they grew was too special and unique. At least 3 things were needed: flame, dark energy, and lightning. Therefore, every lightning-type monster was an absolute treasure and would attract countless people to hunt it down. However, they didn't expect that Zhao Wuji's Horror Mountain Village would have a lightning-type owl. Zhao Wuji continued, this millennium owl was captured by the top 10 experts during the Yin-Yang festival 300 years ago when it was weak and then sealed in the magma abyss. Zhao Wuji continued, then, my ancestors built Horror Mountain Village on this piece of land in an attempt to subdue the owl as a martial spirit. However, no one succeeded in 300 years. 4 days later, the 2 moons will cover the 2 suns and the world will be dark. All the dark creatures will become stronger in an instant. The owl is the overlord of the dark creatures. Although the seal can usually trap it, on the day of the Yin-Yang festival, its energy will increase tenfold. Although it can only last for a while, it will be very weak for the next 6 months. However, this short time is enough for it to destroy the entire Horror Mountain Village. Even all the forces within a few hundred miles will suffer from its destructive attack. Yang Dingtian, can you agree to a father's last request and go to Horror Mountain Village to pass this message to my son? Tell him to leave Horror Mountain Village immediately, Zhao Wuji said. I'll return the flame feather and these 2 pieces of bloody black gold to you. After saying that, Zhao Wuji used the last of his strength to throw the flame feather and bloody black gold over. Then, Zhao Wuji said, I'm sorry for destroying your monster core. Please forgive my previous offense. You must go to Horror Mountain Village and tell my son to leave. Let me try, Yang Dingtian said. Okay, thank you, thank you. Zhao Wuji trembled as he took out a jade pendant and said, give this jade pendant to my son and he will believe you. Yang Dingtian slowly walked over and was about to pick up the jade pendant in his hand. Suddenly, his footsteps stopped, and he said, Zhao Wuji, what's that in your other hand? Was it a poison needle? You don't have any profound qi, but you still want to kill me. Zhao Wuji's complexion abruptly changed, becoming incomparably ferocious. He suddenly threw the poisonous needle in his hand towards Yang Dingtian. Yang Dingtian easily dodged. I'll kill you, come and be buried with me, I'm going to die with you. Come here, Zhao Wuji roared crazily and waved his hands like a devil. Then, all of his movements suddenly froze. Rapid breathing sounds came from his throat as his body slammed onto the ground, completely dead. Yang Dingtian did not immediately go over. After waiting for a few minutes to make sure that Zhao Wuji was completely dead, he walked over and used a bag as a cushion to take the jade pendant in his hand. Yang Dingtian looked at Zhao Wuji's body and was in a daze for a while. He secretly said, was the owl beast that he spoke of real or fake? But now was not the time to think about this. It was more important to quickly leave this place. Immediately, Yang Dingtian turned and left the crystal mine. After passing by the place where more than 40 pieces of bloody black gold were buried, Yang Dingtian hesitated for a while and did not dig out the bloody black gold to take away. Because there was no heaven and earth obsidian flame, and he could not forge a treasure sword, the bloody black gold was useless to take out. Child, take these dozens of pieces of bloody black gold out. Dongfang Minmi suddenly said. Yang Dingtian doubtfully said, isn't it useless to take the bloody black gold out now? Dongfang Minmi said, before forging a soul sword, you need to use a small amount of bloody black gold to forge a fledgling sword. Then, take this fledgling sword to fight, and let your person and the sword's aura merge. In the future, when you obtain the heaven and earth obsidian flame, use this fledgling sword as a seed. Together with the remaining 900 pieces of bloody black gold, use the heaven and earth obsidian flame to forge a perfect soul sword. Yang Dingtian said, didn't you say that only the heaven and earth obsidian flame can forge the bloody black gold? Only the heaven and earth obsidian flame can completely melt the bloody black gold, remove the impurities inside, and leave only the most essential part to forge a true perfect soul sword. Dongfang Minmi said, for example, to forge a perfect soul sword, you need 999 pieces of bloody black gold, which adds up to nearly 20,000 pounds. But after using the heaven and earth obsidian flame, there is less than 50 pounds left, and the remaining 99.5% of the weight is all evaporated. This kind of sword is incomparably powerful, and can nurture an incomparably powerful soul sword. Yang Dingtian suddenly clicked his tongue. He looked at the 10,000-year-old bloody black gold in his hand. It was all metal, and there seemed to be no impurities. He did not expect that after being refined by the heaven and earth obsidian flame, only 5% of the essence was left. Yang Dingtian couldn't imagine how astonishing it would be when such peerless and emperor-grade artifact swords were forged in the future. You don't have to be so particular about the fledgling sword. You don't need the heaven and earth obsidian flame. As long as you find a strong earth fire, you can melt the bloody black gold, and then condense it into a fledgling sword, Dongfang Minmi said, but the fledgling swords forged by the earth fire are very rough and very heavy. 45 pieces of bloody black gold forged by the strong earth fire will be about 200 pounds. If you can't find the strongest earth fire, it is possible to forge a fledgling sword of 700 to 800 pounds. Master, with the same amount of bloody black gold, the lighter the sword forged, the more powerful it is? Yang Dingtian asked. Of course. Dongfang Minmi said, the lighter the sword, the more impurities are removed. The purer the quality of the sword, the stronger the fiery energy contained in it. However, without the heaven and earth obsidian flame, 45 pieces of bloody black gold weigh 900 pounds, and the limit of forging can only be a fledgling sword of 100 pounds. Does the fledgling sword have a Xian Qi bonus? Yang Dingtian asked. Of course, with the power of 45 pieces of bloody black gold, the top fledgling sword of 200 pounds will have a 10% Xian Qi bonus, and the top fledgling sword of 100 pounds will have a 20% bonus. Dongfang Minmi said, but that is the ordinary bloody black gold. Yours is 10,000-year-old bloody black gold, and it will even be doubled. So it is about 30 to 40%? Yang Dingtian exclaimed. Yanyan's sword was obtained by Uncle Shiman from the secret realm. It is already a top magic weapon. The Xian Qi attack bonus is only 30%. A rough fledgling sword made of 10,000-year-old bloody black gold can add 30 to 40%? Of course, this is 10,000-year-old bloody black gold, a treasure of heaven and earth. Dongfang Minmi said, it is just a fledgling sword, but it is already a famous sword in the world. Yang Dingtian could not help but ask, Master, what if it is a top-grade soul sword made of bloody black gold? How much can the Xian Qi attack bonus be? What about the Emperor grade? The Xian Qi attack bonus of a top-grade soul sword can reach 99%. As for the Emperor grade, no one knows. Dongfang Minmi said, but at that time, the Xian Qi attack bonus is not the most important. The Xian skill and sword soul are the most important. For you, the most important thing for this fledgling sword is to be a seed for forging a top-grade sword in the future. The Xian Qi bonus is secondary. Dongfang Minmi said, as long as it is not heavy enough to affect the use of it. Master, where do I need to find earth fire to forge the fledgling sword? Yang Dingtian asked, is there any nearby? Of course not. To melt 10,000-year-old bloody black gold, you need a very powerful earth fire, at least an 8th or 9th grade earth fire. Dongfang Minmi said, it is equivalent to the heat of a magma as big as a mountain condensing into a flame as big as a washbasin. Yang Dingtian was shocked and said, it sounds like earth fire is also very powerful. Then what is the difference between earth fire and Xian fire? Dongfang Minmi said, earth fire is dead. It cannot be refined into heart fire. Xian fire is alive and can be refined into heart fire. It is the most important thing for a high-level martial artist. It is not inferior to Xian Qi. Although 8th or 9th grade earth fire is extremely powerful, compared to heaven and earth Xian fire, the energy of earth fire is not even 1%. For example, a 9th grade earth fire can only be brewed within 3,000 miles of land. However, a heaven and earth Xian fire may not even be brewed within 10,000 miles of land. Therefore, almost all martial artists can only refine fire-type demonic beasts into their own heart fire. Very few top martial artists have the opportunity to refine earth Xian fire into their heart fire. As for heaven and earth Xian fire, it is completely fate. Dongfang Minmi continued. Yang Dingtian was speechless. It seemed like the path of his peerless soul sword was incomparably difficult. Now, even forging a youngling sword was so difficult. Master does not know where there is an unrefined heaven and earth Xian fire. I only have some clues. However, I know of a top-grade earth fire that can help you forge a youngling sword. On the West Arrival Island, 8,000 miles away, there is a fire cloud devil cave. There is a top-grade earth fire there. That earth fire blooms once every 10 years. It blooms for less than 2 hours each time. The next blooming should be in 4 months. Dongfang Minmi said, when you become a 5-star Xian martial warrior, Master will take you to that earth fire and forge a top-notch youngling sword. 5-star Xian martial warrior in 4 months. That will depend on the breakthrough during the Yin-Yang festival. If I can successfully break through to 6-star Xian martial warrior this time, I am confident that I can become a 5-star Xian martial warrior in 4 months. Yang Dingtian said. Because he needed to forge a youngling sword, Yang Dingtian needed to bring these 45 pieces of bloody black gold out. However, he could not bring them out in one go. 45 pieces of bloody black gold weighed a total of 900 kilograms. It was impossible to bring them out through the unfreezing pool of 200 meters in one go. Therefore, Yang Dingtian brought 9 pieces of bloody black gold each time. It took him 5 trips to bring all 45 pieces of bloody black gold out. This back and forth took almost an hour. At this time, the sun should be setting outside. Ningning was probably waiting anxiously. After bringing out all the 10,000-year-old bloody black gold, young Dingtian still had one more thing to do. That was to find the last four-legged cold snake that was hiding and kill its demonic core. This was because the ice-type and metal-type demonic cores that he had obtained before were all destroyed by Zhao Wuji. With 3 pieces of bloody black gold in his arms, he jumped into the unfreezing pool again. This was the only way to resist the cold inside. However, after jumping into the unfreezing pool several times, the four-legged cold snake was nowhere to be found. He did not know where it was hiding. Yang Dingtian even went to the deepest part of the pool to search. He was completely frozen, but he still did not see the figure of the cold snake. Obviously, it could not have run anywhere. It must have found a crack to hide. This unfreezing pool was not small. Moreover, Yang Dingtian could only hold on for 10 minutes at most. He had to find it as soon as possible and get the ice-type demonic core. Therefore, Yang Dingtian thought of a way. Play dead. He believed that the cold snake must have found him. Maybe it was staring at him right now. After deciding to play dead, Yang Dingtian suddenly trembled in the water. Then, his 4 limbs twitched. He stopped moving in the water and slowly floated up, as if he was dead. 3 minutes passed. 5 minutes passed. That cold snake still did not appear. 10 minutes passed, and the cold snake still did not find him. Yang Dingtian, who was floating on the water, was very anxious. Did the cold snake not find him, or was the cold snake too cunning? Play dead for another 10 minutes. If the cold snake still did not appear, he would think of another way. At this moment, there was a sudden movement in the water. An ice-blue snake like a slingshot suddenly shot out from somewhere. It opened its mouth and bit at Yang Dingtian. Although it was only a low-level demonic beast, it was still very cunning. At first, it was afraid that Yang Dingtian was playing dead. After 10 minutes, it rushed out to bite Yang Dingtian. Its hatred for Yang Dingtian was very strong. When it rushed over, it opened its mouth to the maximum, showing its sharp fangs. Just as the cold snake was about to bite Yang Dingtian, his body suddenly jumped. The flame feather in his hand stabbed out like lightning, directly piercing into the cold snake's mouth. He suddenly lifted and chopped off the cold snake's head. Then, he directly dug out its demonic core in the water and jumped to the shore. Fortunately, there is still a cold snake. Otherwise, I really don't know what to do with this ice-type demonic core. Yang Dingtian looked at the ice-type demonic core in front of his eyes. The feeling of losing it again was really good. I have to get out quickly. Ning Ning must be waiting anxiously. Yang Dingtian put the ice-type demonic core into his arms. Then, he dragged the bag full of bloody black gold and climbed out of the mine. Chapter 65. Although he had passed the enlightenment period, and had washed his marrow and meridians to the 3rd level. But nearly 1,000 pounds of bloody black gold was still difficult for him to carry. Fortunately, this place was covered with ice, so he could drag it. Kacha! Suddenly, the ground where the bloody black gold passed by made a crisp cracking sound. Looking carefully, the thick ice cracked open a deep hole. Yang Dingtian thought that the bloody black gold had cracked the ice, so he didn't care too much. But then, the crisp cracking sound continued, and the crack became bigger and bigger. Not only did the ice crack open, but even the hard stone ground below began to crack. Kacha kacha! The surrounding ground also began to crack fiercely. Not good, Yang Dingtian dragged the bloody black gold and ran forward, but it was too late. Bang! With a loud noise, a thick monster rushed out of the cracked ground, blocking Yang Dingtian's path. This monster was 4 or 5 meters long, as thick as a thigh, and had a fiery red body. Its body was covered with spiky fur, and it had countless feet. Yang Dingtian knew this monster beast, the fiery earth dragon. Of course, it had nothing to do with the dragon clan, and it did not have any dragon bloodline. This monster beast usually liked to live in the depths of the soil, devouring metal and mineral residues. Under normal circumstances, it would not leave the soil layer. But the bag of bloody black gold that young Ding Tian dragged was too tempting, and it attracted the fiery earth dragon that was more than 10 meters underground. Although this monster beast's name had the word fire, in fact, it was also a metal-eating monster. Hiss. The fiery earth dragon suddenly stood up with its 4 or 5 meter long body, and opened its mouth toward young Ding Tian. What a disgusting and ugly face, with only one green eye, the whole face was completely occupied by a mouth. When its mouth was closed, there was only a small hole the size of a finger. However, when it opened its mouth, it was as big as a basketball. Its entire mouth was filled with countless teeth. It could be said that its entire mouth was filled with teeth. Drops of red saliva dripped onto the ground, directly melting a large hole in the ice. Yang Dingtian's hair instantly stood on end. This was also a grade 2 Yao beast. However, compared to the grade 2 demonic lizard from before, this one was much more powerful. Not only was it a high-grade grade 2 Yao beast, but its entire body was also a lethal weapon. No matter which part of its body it touched, it would be fatal. If one was licked by its mouth, half of one's head would be gone. If one was touched by its body, at least tens of thousands of poisonous thorns would drill into one's body. Once these thorns entered one's body, they would come alive and crazily suck blood, crazily drilling into one's body. Within a few hours, countless bloodthirsty insects would break out of his body. What was even worse was that its blood was extremely corrosive. Just a little bit of it would corrode a deep hole in one's body. Even if a treasure sword pierced into its body, only the hilt would be left after being pulled out. This was because the hilt would be completely corroded by its blood. Therefore, even a very strong expert wouldn't be willing to encounter this thing because it was too abnormal. Although young Ding Tian needed a gold Yao core, he was unwilling to encounter such a powerful Yao beast. Young Ding Tian felt bitter in his heart. This was really a narrow escape. Hiss. After the fiery earth dragon gave a long hiss, it swam its huge body and quickly rushed over. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. Young Ding Tian quickly slashed out the flame feather in his hand, and then his figure quickly retreated. Peng peng peng. Suddenly, the fiery earth dragon was cut into 4 pieces. Although young Ding Tian retreated quickly, a few drops of blood still splashed onto his body. His clothes were directly corroded into a few holes. Fortunately, he had the deep sea Xian clothes. Otherwise, young Ding Tian's heart would have been corroded into a pile of mud. The flame feather was indeed a treasure. It was not damaged at all, and not even a drop of blood was left behind. It seemed like it was over. The fiery earth dragon was directly cut into 4 pieces. This Yao beast didn't seem to be that terrifying. It was also a gold Yao beast. It just so happened that young Ding Tian could go forward and cut out its Yao core. However, not only did young Ding Tian not do that, he quickly ran in the direction of the unfreezing pool. Because the fiery earth dragon was crazily screaming, the 4 pieces of its 1 meter long body crazily slammed on the ground. Then, it actually fought on its own and crazily chased after young Ding Tian. That's right, after being cut into 4 pieces, not only did it not die, it turned into 4 and continued to chase. However, only one of the pieces had a head. The other 3 pieces didn't have a head, but they still chased after him at a very fast speed. At least, it was faster than young Ding Tian because it had too many legs. What a freak! This was the reason why even the strongest experts didn't want to encounter this thing, because it simply couldn't be killed. Even if it was cut into dozens of pieces, it could still live. This was nothing. In a while, the 4 pieces would stick together and become a complete fiery earth dragon. Young Ding Tian used all his speed to run in the direction of the unfreezing pool. He didn't care so much about the bag of bloody black gold. He had to take advantage of the fact that the fiery earth dragon had yet to stick together and run as fast as possible. Otherwise, it would be too late. Sure enough, the 4 pieces of the fiery earth dragon were running and sticking together. Half a minute later, they formed a complete fiery earth dragon. Suddenly, its speed was incomparably fast. Yang Dingtian was only 20 meters ahead and was about to be caught up in an instant. Yang Dingtian gritted his teeth and crazily ran forward. When he ran to the end of the mine, he suddenly jumped forward and jumped down a dozen meters into the big cave. He somersaulted and crazily rushed forward to the unfreezing pool. The fiery earth dragon quickly swam down from the top of the mine. When it was only 2 to 3 meters away from Yang Dingtian, it opened its mouth and fiercely shot forward. Plop! Yang Dingtian felt a chill on his back and directly jumped into the unfreezing pool. The fiery earth dragon's body suddenly twisted and stopped. It didn't dare to take half a step into the pool. It crazily roared on the shore and crazily slammed the ground. Suddenly, ice shards and gravel flew everywhere. Its one eye angrily and unwillingly stared at Yang Dingtian in the water. Yang Dingtian let out a long sigh of relief. He had finally escaped from the monster's mouth. Looking at the crazy fiery earth dragon on the shore, Yang Dingtian sneered, "Next, the one to die is you." He slammed his palm on the water surface and suddenly a splash of water rushed toward the fiery earth dragon. The fiery earth dragon quickly dodged, but it was still hit by the unfreezing water. Hiss! With a strange sound, the place where the fiery earth dragon was splashed by the unfreezing water was directly petrified. The fiery earth dragon let out a miserable cry. Its eyes were filled with incomparable fear. Then, it crazily drilled its head into the ground and quickly drilled a hole. It wanted to escape. It wanted to drill a hole and escape. Yang Dingtian kept splashing water and the fiery earth dragon crazily drilled into the ground. After 10 seconds, a huge hole was drilled. The fiery earth dragon crazily drilled into it. However, the foot of its tail outside was hit by the unfreezing water and was completely petrified. The fiery earth dragon fiercely twisted and broke the foot of its tail. Then, it crazily escaped into the ground. How could Yang Dingtian let it escape so easily? He quickly jumped out of the sleeping chamber and then picked up a special bag filled with unfreezing water. It was a few dozen kilograms. He walked to the hole that the fiery earth dragon drilled out and poured the unfreezing water in. Hiss! Suddenly, there was a crazy scream and frantic struggle from the hole. Yang Dingtian filled another bag with water and poured it into the hole. Bang, bang, bang. The fiery earth dragon crazily rolled around in incomparable pain. The whole ground cracked. Just as Yang Dingtian was about to fill the bag with water again, the ground suddenly cracked open. The fiery earth dragon rushed out of the ground and opened its mouth to the maximum. It crazily rushed towards Yang Dingtian. However, the fiery earth dragon that rushed over was only about 2 meters long. The rest of its body was completely frozen and was abandoned by it. However, the fiery earth dragon that was only 2 meters long was even more ferocious and terrifying. It wanted to perish together with Yang Dingtian. Yang Dingtian's body suddenly tensed up. He did not run away because it was too late. The fiery earth dragon was too fast. Whoosh! The flame feather suddenly slashed. Suddenly, the fiery earth dragon's head was directly cut off. However, it still rushed forward and shot towards the unfreezing pool. Yang Dingtian's body suddenly flashed and dodged to the side. Bang, bang. The fiery earth dragon's head wanted to change direction and escape from the unfreezing pool. However, it only had one head and could not change direction. It could only watch as it fell into the unfreezing pool. The remaining 2 meters of its body frantically struggled to escape. However, it still swayed and fell into the unfreezing pool. Then, the fiery earth dragon's head and body quickly solidified and petrified at a speed visible to the naked eye. It completely died. Yang Dingtian jumped into the unfreezing pool and used the flame feather to directly dig out the fiery earth dragon's head. The solidified head was harder than a rock. Fortunately, the flame feather was strong enough to easily cut open the demon core inside. After washing the demon core in the unfreezing water, young Dingtian let out a long sigh of relief. Shiman Ningning's information did not know that there was an abnormal demon beast like the fiery earth dragon in this mine. Otherwise, she would definitely not let young Dingtian come. However, fortunately, there was also this abnormal demon beast. Although young Dingtian narrowly escaped death, it allowed young Dingtian to obtain the gold demon core. Today's mission was finally completed. He put the gold demon core into a small bag and put it together with the ice demon core. As for the remaining 2 fire and wind demon cores, they were in another bag in Yang Dingtian's arms. Now, he had obtained 4 demon cores. Only the last electric demon core was left. He also had a clue. It was in Horror Mountain Village. Climbing out of the pool, young Dingtian climbed out of the mine and continued to walk forward with the bloody black gold. Kacha, kacha. Suddenly, the ground cracked. It was very dense. No way, there is also a fiery earth dragon. It shouldn't be, this kind of abnormal demon basically lives alone. Yang Dingtian was horrified in his heart, but he still dragged the bloody black gold and ran forward crazily. Rumble. Suddenly, the cracked section of the mine began to collapse, and the boulders on the top fell crazily. It was not the fiery earth dragon, but the mine was empty. After being tossed around by the fiery earth dragon, it completely collapsed. Yang Dingtian surged all the strength in his body, dragging the bloody black gold and running crazily. Rumble. The mine continued to collapse, and it collapsed for hundreds of meters before it stopped. Confirming that it was no longer collapsing, Yang Dingtian stopped and gasped for breath. Looking at the mine that had been completely blocked, he secretly rejoiced. It was good that it collapsed. Even if someone came to this abandoned mine and saw that it was blocked, they would go back. The secret of the bloody black gold vein would not be discovered. Moreover, all the demon beasts here had been killed, and no demon beasts would tell the beast speaker that there was unfreezing water here. As for the beast speaker who told Zhao Wuji about the unfreezing water, with Zhao Wuji's character, after getting this kind of secret, he would definitely kill the beast speaker as soon as possible. I'm afraid it's getting dark outside. Ningning is probably worried to death. Suddenly, Yang Dingtian hesitated for a moment, found a place to bury the bag of bloody black gold, and then quickly ran out. In one breath, he ran out of the mine that was thousands of meters long and came to the huge mine outside. Sister Ningning. Yang Dingtian shouted. Chapter 66. It was almost dark outside, and only the last ray of light was left. It had been more than 2 hours since the sun set. But Ningning had disappeared. Suddenly, Yang Dingtian felt a chill all over his body. Did she leave? Impossible, she would never leave. And the most important thing was that with Ningning's character, if Yang Dingtian didn't come out before sunset, she would definitely go into the mine to find Yang Dingtian. Ningning, Ningning. Yang Dingtian shouted loudly, but there was only an echo. There was no response. Did something happen? Could it be that she was taken away? Suddenly, Yang Dingtian was burning with anxiety. He hated himself for not coming out immediately after killing Zhao Wuji and ignoring the bloody black gold. Sister Ningning, Sister Ningning. Yang Dingtian shouted loudly and looked around frantically. After running to every place in the mine, Yang Dingtian's voice was hoarse from shouting. I should have come out long ago. I should have come out long ago. Yang Dingtian blamed himself. Sister Ningning. Yang Dingtian shouted again unwillingly. Xiaotian, go, run. Suddenly, a weak voice came from the forest not far away. It was Shiman Ningning's voice. Sister Ningning. Yang Dingtian ran over in surprise and then asked worriedly, are you hurt? Don't come over. Run, run. Ningning's voice was still weak and anxious. Yang Dingtian immediately rushed over. In the woods, he saw Shimin Ningning. She was very haggard with blood on her body. Her lips were pale and bloodless. She was sitting on the ground with her legs crossed and was about to fall. Around her, there were 4 people, 3 men and 1 woman. They were holding weapons and were about to kill Shimin Ningning, but they seemed to be frozen and didn't move. Yang Dingtian was surprised to find that it was Shimin Ningning who had frozen the 4 of them. She seemed to have used a special secret method to freeze the 4 of them. Yang Dingtian knew that Ningning's Xian Qi did not possess any attack power, but he did not expect her to have such a mysterious method. "Hurry up, I can't hold on any longer. They will kill you," Shimin Ningning whispered, and then suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. Her face suddenly became even more frightening. At the moment when Shimin Ningning spat out blood, one of the women seemed to have been released. Her eyes turned cold, and she rushed at Shimin Ningning with a sharp sword in her hand. She shouted, "Go to hell, bitch!" When Yang Dingtian saw this, his eye sockets were about to burst open. He released all of his strength and rushed over like a madman. "I'll kill you." Yang Dingtian held the flame feather in his hand and pounced forward, directly pouncing on the black-clothed woman in the air. "You're courting death." The woman in black temporarily let go of Ningning. She turned around and slashed at Yang Dingtian. "No!" Shimin Ningning screamed. "Go to hell." Yang Dingtian stabbed at the woman's face with his sword, letting the woman cut his chest. The woman's figure suddenly flashed, trying to avoid Yang Dingtian's flame feather. "Freeze!" Ningning shouted. Instantly, the woman in black froze in place. Puff! Yang Dingtian's flame feather directly pierced the woman in black's head in disbelief, and she died in an instant. Bang! At the same time, her sword hit Yang Dingtian's chest. It was like being hit by a 1,000-pound hammer. With a sharp pain, Yang Dingtian's vision suddenly turned black, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. The moment Ningning froze the woman in black, the other 3 men suddenly recovered their movements. 2 of them rushed at Shimin Ningning, and the other one suddenly chopped at Yang Dingtian's head with his palm. "Freeze!" Ningning shouted, and the man who attacked Yang Dingtian was frozen. "Kill!" Yang Dingtian's flame feather cut off the man's head directly. At the same time, the other 2 men had rushed to Ningning's side. One was wearing a yellow robe, and the other had a hideous scar on his face. Puff! The yellow-robed man suddenly hit Ningning's back with his palm, and her delicate body was directly sent flying more than 10 meters away. She spat out a mouthful of blood in the air and hit the trunk hard. The other scarred man condensed a cold poisonous blade in his palm and shot it at Ningning's lower abdomen. Yang Dingtian was furious and rushed madly at the scarred man who shot the hidden weapon at Ningning. "You're courting death." The scarred man sneered. He gently waved the sword in his hand, poured qi into it, and suddenly stabbed at Yang Dingtian's chest. The third move of the pig-killing swordsmanship, cut off the head. Yang Dingtian's flame feather chopped down, but it was not the opponent's head that was chopped, but his sword. The scarred man sneered. His sword was filled with qi, so how could it be cut off by a person who had almost no qi? Bang! But the result made him speechless. His sword that was filled with qi was directly cut off by Yang Dingtian's flame feather. Suddenly, he was shocked and angry. He kicked at Yang Dingtian's crotch. The 6th move of the pig-killing swordsmanship, cut off the limbs. Yang Dingtian waved the flame feather and suddenly chopped at the man's right leg. The scarred man was shocked and wanted to retreat quickly. The other cold poisonous blade in his hand was shot at Yang Dingtian. Freeze! Ningning, who had just woken up, ignored the other man's pursuit and shouted. She used all her strength to freeze the scarred man. Suddenly, the scarred man was frozen again. Yang Dingtian's flame feather chopped down and instantly cut off his right leg, followed by the 7th move of the pig-killing swordsmanship, cut in 2. The flame feather slanted upward and suddenly chopped down. The scarred man was cut into 2 pieces. Blood spurted out, and he died instantly. At the same time, his cold poisonous blade shot at Yang Dingtian's thigh. Yang Dingtian only felt his leg go numb, and instantly half of his body was almost unable to move. Of the 4 enemies, 3 were killed by Yang Dingtian. The last one was the yellow-robed man. Just when Yang Dingtian killed the scarred man, the sinister yellow-robed man flashed behind Ningning and suddenly chopped down with his palm. Ah! Ningning, who was caught off guard, cried out. Her delicate body flew out and collided with Yang Dingtian. A mouthful of blood sprayed on Yang Dingtian's face. Yang Dingtian hurriedly hugged Ningning and threw the flame feather in his hand at the last enemy. The yellow-robed man should be the leader of the 4-man team, and also the strongest one. He directly caught Yang Dingtian's flame feather in the air. His eyes lit up, and he said, "The flame feather of the Black Sky Magic Phoenix is really a treasure. I just destroyed my weapon." Yang Dingtian hugged Ningning's delicate body and rolled on the ground. At this time, Ningning was already unconscious. Her face was like gold paper, and her eyes were like gold coins. Yang Dingtian used the last of his strength to take out a restoration pill and stuffed it into Ningning's mouth. The yellow-robed man slowly walked over with the flame feather in his hand. Looking at Ningning's graceful and seductive body, he revealed an evil light and said, "What an enchanting body. I can enjoy it before I kill you." Subsequently, he looked at Yang Dingtian and said, "However, I will have to kill you first." Yang Dingtian's whole body had been poisoned. His whole body was paralyzed, and he could not move. The yellow-robed man held the flame feather and approached step by step. Finally, he stood in front of Yang Dingtian and stabbed the flame feather in his hand at Yang Dingtian's head. "Wait." Yang Dingtian said, "I have a 6th-grade beast soul spiritual pill." The yellow-robed man paused and said, "Thank you for telling me. But I can still get it after I kill you." Then he stabbed the flame feather at Ning Quebec. "Wait." Yang Dingtian said, "I have 45 pieces of 10,000-year-old bloody black gold buried in a place. I can give them to you." The yellow-robed man's eyes suddenly lit up with incomparable greed. He looked at Shimen Ningning and immediately reached out to grab her clothes. "Well, tell me where the bloody black gold is, or she will beg for death." If she told him, she would die. If he did not tell him, Yang Dingtian did not want his dirty hands to touch Shimen Ningning. "It's in an abandoned mine." Yang Dingtian said, "However, 45 is only a small part of it. There are more inside, and only I know the way." "Really?" The yellow-robed man said, "Thank you so much. I can enjoy this woman first without killing her." Suddenly, the yellow-robed man's big hand directly grabbed at Ningning. Yang Dingtian's eyes were about to burst. A rush of blood rushed to the top of his head. Suddenly, the paralyzing cold poison in his body disappeared without a trace. "Ah!" Yang Dingtian roared, stretched out his limbs, and rushed at the scarred man. The man was not prepared and was directly pounced on by Yang Dingtian. Then, Yang Dingtian clenched his fist and hit the man's temple. "You're courting death." The scarred man was furious and hit Yang Dingtian's head with his fist. "Freeze." At this critical moment, there seemed to be a force that woke Ningning up. She used the last of her qi to perform the freeze spell. Suddenly, the yellow-robed man's body was frozen and he could not move. Bang! Yang Dingtian hit the man's head with his fist. Then, he directly snatched the flame feather from the man's hand. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. Yang Dingtian quickly cut off the man's limbs and tendons. Finally, the flame feather aimed at the man's lower abdomen and stabbed down. "Ah!" The yellow-robed man screamed. His whole body trembled crazily. The qi in his qi leaked out crazily. Suddenly, the yellow-robed man aged at a speed visible to the naked eye. All the muscles in his body quickly dried up. Humph! At this time, Ningning, who was almost out of oil, whispered and fainted again. Say, who sent you to kill us? Yang Dingtian asked sternly. Go to hell. The yellow-robed man suddenly straightened his body and opened his mouth to bite Yang Dingtian. Yang Dingtian grabbed a fallen dagger and stabbed it into the yellow-robed man's eyes. Ah! The yellow-robed man let out an earth-shattering scream. Say, who sent you to kill us? Yang Dingtian asked again. Go to hell. The yellow-robed man roared. Yang Dingtian stabbed the man's abdomen with the dagger. Ah! The other party screamed miserably. Say, who sent you to kill us? Yang Dingtian asked coldly, tell me, and I will give you a clean end. Young Master Qin, young Master Qin. The yellow-robed man trembled and said weakly. Qin Xiaobai. I will tear you to pieces. Yang Dingtian shouted the name coldly, and then stabbed the yellow-robed man's throat. Blood spurted. The yellow-robed man's body twitched a few times and died directly. After killing the yellow-robed man, Yang Dingtian hurriedly picked up Shimen Ningning and checked her breath. It was very weak and completely unconscious. Master, help me. How can I save Sister Ningning? Yang Dingtian quickly woke up Dongfang Minmi. Dongfang Nimi said, Child, don't be anxious. She has been poisoned by a type of cold poison. Others might be helpless against it, but it's different for you. You have 9 Yang Xian veins, so your blood can cure almost any cold poison in the world, so you only need a few drops of your blood. After listening, Yang Dingtian immediately cut his wrist. Blood gushed out and he directly pressed it on Shimen Ningning's small mouth. The hot blood flowed into Ningning's small mouth, poured into her stomach, and then spread to the meridians in her body. Chapter 67. 3 minutes later, Ningning's delicate body gradually recovered its temperature. She slowly opened her eyes and woke up. She was stunned at first, then suddenly pushed away Yang Dingtian's hand and said in shock, Little Tian, what are you doing? How can you bleed yourself? Thank God, I finally managed to save you. Yang Dingtian hugged Shimen Ningning in surprise. Ningning was hugged by him for a while, then gently broke free. She took out a kind of medicine bead from her bosom and gently rubbed it on the wound on Yang Dingtian's wrist. Suddenly, the cut on Yang Dingtian's wrist gradually coagulated and the bleeding stopped. Then, Ningning took out a 5th-grade Wonder Spirit pill from Yang Dingtian's bosom and fed it to Yang Dingtian. Yang Dingtian's whole body heated up, and the several internal injuries that were hit by the enemy were dissolved little by little. Does it still hurt? Where else do you feel uncomfortable? Although Ningning was still very weak, she looked at Yang Dingtian with concern and asked worriedly. Yang Dingtian shook his head and said with lingering fear, I was scared to death just now. What happened? When did they come? Ningning said, they came about an hour after you entered the abandoned mine. You know that my profound qi cultivation is very fast, almost faster than everyone, but my profound qi doesn't have any attack power. But I learned a kind of spirit-type profound skill. Although it can't attack the opponent, it can imprison the opponent and make them unable to move. Yang Dingtian was stunned. This kind of profound skill was really very powerful. Before Yang Dingtian arrived, Shimen Ningning was fighting against 4 people by herself. All 4 of them were immobilized, and they were immobilized for a few hours. I immobilized them for more than 6 hours. When you came, my profound qi was almost completely exhausted. Ningning said, if you came a little later, I would have died in their hands. But I told you to run, why didn't you run? Each of them is many times stronger than you. You are in danger, how can I run? I won't run even if I die. Yang Dingtian, what do you think now? The cold poison has been completely expelled, but there are still some internal injuries left. I'll be fine after taking the Wonder Panacea and adjusting my breathing, Ningning said. Your blood is really domineering. It directly suppressed and dissolved the cold poison in my body. However, if it wasn't for the fact that my profound chi had been exhausted, this kind of cold poison wouldn't have been able to do anything to me. Yang Dingtian asked, Sister Ningning, do you think Qin Xiaobai has discovered our identities and sent people to kill us? No. Ningning said, if he had discovered our identities, he wouldn't have sent these 4 people. He would have sent even more powerful assassins. He just casually sent people to kill us because Qin Hongnian was once his prey and he abandoned her after he got tired of her. But if he didn't want a woman, no one else could touch her. Today, the 2 of us were together. He thought that Qin Hongnian had a new lover, so he sent people to kill us to completely satisfy his sick possessiveness. This person is really crazy. Yang Dingtian thought that if he came to Cloud Sky City, he would definitely bring a huge disaster. Ningning said, so, little Tian, you have to quickly become stronger. Don't let Cloud Sky City fall into the hands of this bastard. Alright, let's not talk about this disgusting person. Little Tian, what happened to you in the mine? Why did you come out so late? You made me worried. The 4 of them surrounded me. At that time, I hoped that you would come out, but I also hoped that you wouldn't. A lot of things happened in the mine. Immediately, Yang Dingtian told her everything that had happened, including the 10,000-year-old bloody black gold mine, the Lord of the Deep Abyss, Xiao Wuji's death, and the fiery earth dragon. There really is 10,000-year-old bloody black gold. That's a treasure of heaven and earth. Ningning said in surprise. Then, she looked at Yang Dingtian with her beautiful eyes. But, why did you tell me this secret? You should know that the 10,000-year-old bloody black gold will make the whole world go crazy. No matter which sect it is, they will want it. You shouldn't have told me. Yang Dingtian looked at her and said, if I can't even trust the people closest to me, then what's the point of a treasure of heaven and earth? Ningning's face turned red, and her expression suddenly became gentle. Then, the 2 of them were immersed in a strange atmosphere, and they were silent. After a few minutes, Yang Dingtian broke the silence and said, Sister Ningning, is what Xiao Wuji said true? Is there really a Millennium Owl sealed in the depths of Horror Mountain Village's dungeon? I don't know. Ningning shook her head and said, no one has ever heard of a Millennium Owl in Horror Mountain Village. However, no one will say anything when they catch a Millennium Owl, because it will cause countless people to fight over it. The sealed Millennium Owl is completely a top-grade demonic beast with a martial soul. Shiman Ningning continued, however, I did hear that many experts from the Zhao family died 300 years ago. Their previous castle was in the extreme south, and it was a very comfortable and rich area. 300 years ago, they moved to the Black Fire Mountain Range and built Horror Mountain Village there. The environment there is very bad, and many people don't understand why. If it's because there's a Millennium Owl sealed there, then it makes sense. Hearing Ningning's words, there might really be a Millennium Owl in Horror Mountain Village. Sister Ningning, how much do you know about Horror Mountain Village? Yang Dingtian asked. Ningning thought for a while and said, more than 20 years ago, Horror Mountain Village was a very powerful force. It had a territory of 300 miles and thousands of warriors. They even fought with Cloud Sky City many times. The village master, Zhao Zhengyang, was only 1 step away from becoming a master. His eldest son, Xiao Wuji, was a martial arts genius. It was very likely that he would become a master before the age of 45. The Northwest Qin family was worried that Horror Mountain Village would rise in Xiao Wuji's hands and threaten the Qin family's position, so they supported the ambitious Xiao Wuji. They murdered Zhao Zhengyang and Xiao Wuji and made Xiao Wuji the village master of Horror Mountain Village. After Xiao Wuji took over, his brothers, cousins, and uncles were not convinced. With the help of the Northwest Qin clan, Xiao Wuji killed all those who opposed him. In this way, Xiao Wuji was able to secure the position of village master, but the strength of the village also plummeted. It went from being a first-rate force in the western mainland to a third-rate force. It completely became a vassal of the Northwest Qin family. Yang Dingtian asked, what about Xiao Wuji's son? Shiman Ningning said, his name is Xiao Mu. He's very talented in martial arts, even surpassing his father. However, he's licentious and lecherous. 4 years ago, when he was traveling outside, he met a beautiful woman. Because of that, he had an evil intention and flirted with her. In the end, he was severely injured by that woman. The yin qi in his body surrounded him, and his cultivation was destroyed. He became a useless person. Oh right, do you know who that woman is? Seeing Ningning's slightly mischievous gaze, Yang Dingtian's heart skipped a beat, but he shook his head and said that he didn't know. It's your fiancé, Dongfang Bingling. Shiman Ningning smiled. Dongfang Bingling? Yang Dingtian was surprised. He didn't expect that this was related to Dongfang Bingling. Ningning smiled and said, your fiancé is really an extremely domineering person. After making the young master of Horror Mountain Village a useless person, Lord Qin even took Zhao Wuji to the Immeasurable Mountain to ask for forgiveness. Zhao Wuji knelt in front of the Yin-Yang school for 3 days and 3 nights. Yang Dingtian clicked his tongue again. Although he felt that the Yin-Yang school was supreme before, he didn't really experience it. However, after coming to the Western continent, he deeply felt the domineering dominance of the Northwest Qin family. However, such a domineering Northwest Qin family was so respectful in front of the Yin-Yang school. From this, it could be seen how high the Yin-Yang school's status was. 4 years ago, Dongfang Bingling was only 16 years old, but she was able to make Zhao Mu a useless person with one palm. What was Zhao Mu's cultivation then? Yang Dingtian asked. Shiman Ningning said, the same as Shiman Yan now. Yang Dingtian gasped. Dongfang Bingling 4 years ago was already so powerful. How powerful would Dongfang Bingling be 5 years later? Now you know how powerful your fiancé is, right? Shiman Ningning smiled and said, she is known as the #1 genius in 400 years, the person who is most likely to reach the peak of the martial saint realm in 400 years. However, thinking about Dongfang Bingling now was a bit too far away. The most important thing now was to get the electric-type demon core. Even if Horror Mountain Village had the Millennium Owl was too powerful. Even if Horror Mountain Village was reduced to a third-rate force, it was still a dangerous place for Yang Dingtian. Sister Ningning, other than Horror Mountain Village, is there any other place where there might be an electric-type demon beast? Yang Dingtian asked. Shiman Ningning shook her head and said, electric-type demon beasts are too rare. In these few thousand miles, I definitely know the most about demon beasts, but I don't know where there are electric-type demon beasts. The most likely place to have an electric-type demon beast is in the deep sea, tens of thousands of miles away. However, that place is impossible to set foot in unless one is a top-notch expert. It is many times more dangerous than Horror Mountain Village. So you're saying that if we want to get the electric-type demon core, we have to go to Horror Mountain Village and take the risk? Yang Dingtian asked. Ningning frowned and said, Little Tian, do you have to get the electric-type demon core? I have to get it, and I have to get it within 4 days. Otherwise, I will be expelled from Cloud Sky City in 5 days, Yang Dingtian said. Ningning said awkwardly, but even if Zhao Wuji is telling the truth and there is a Millennium Owl in Horror Mountain Village, it will be difficult for us to get its demon core. Not to mention that Horror Mountain Village itself is a gloomy and terrifying place. Why would they give the Millennium Owl to us? Even if they gave it to us, it is a Millennium Owl. Even a Master Realm expert might not be able to kill it. Yes, this seemed like an impossible mission. Of course, I'm just saying what I think. The decision is still up to you, Ningning said softly. No matter what decision you make, I will support you. No matter how dangerous it is, I will go with you. Yang Dingtian's heart suddenly softened and warmed. He asked, Sister Ningning, what is Horror Mountain Village's attitude towards the Qin family? They respect and fear them, Shiman Ningning said. Right now, Horror Mountain Village is completely a lackey of the Northwest Qin family. Although Qin Hongnian is only a distant relative of the Qin family, Horror Mountain Village doesn't dare to offend her. Yang Dingtian closed his eyes and thought for 10 minutes before opening them. He took a deep breath and said, "Let's go to Horror Mountain Village. Even if it is a dragon's pool or a tiger's den, we have to go." You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.